Shalom, shalom, Israel Thawada for coming out tonight. I will be your teacher. This day. This is my 1 day a month. So you guys know how we do. Try to lighten up a little bit. Keep the same themes and the spirit in which the elders have been pushing up until this point, but also adding a story element into it. Just to kind of see the perspective in the Old Testament. And today's story is one we don't necessarily talk about too much. You might see the title of the screen, Remembering Lot. No, I did not forget Lot's wife. It was specifically put Lot for a reason, because we're going to be focusing on Lot himself, the husband, the leader, the father, the nephew of Abraham, and not his wife. All right. Mm-hmm. So that's the focus, and we'll get kind of to the topic on that and why we chose to go this route instead of focusing on Lot's wife. Before anything, the water for coming out in person. 1 second, I got you. The water for watching online or catching the replay, of course. Shout out and shalom to the brothers and sisters out there in Virginia, Houston, and Rochester, New York. Y'all keep the fight up. Shout out to Shaquat. He's been sending these videos. I don't know if y'all seen on their channels, on the Virginia channels or the Houston channels, where they're posting these little snippets, little clips or shorts on YouTube or TikTok. Those are really awesome. They're dope. I know, especially for the younger generation, they need that. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him as well. He's doing a good job out there. Him and Zion are really doing great works. And obviously, of course, our founder, Kawakab out in Guatemala, his congregation out there as well. So, brother, you had a question, Moselle. What you got?
What's the name of this class?
Remembering Lot.
Remembering
Lot. All right. So like I was saying earlier, we want to focus on Lot more than the wife, but we will go into the quote or the statement in which Christ made, because that is an important concept, and the understanding behind why Christ said, remember Lot's wife, is important as well. We're not disregarding that. So let's get to that point real quick. Luke 17, verse 28 through 32. Luke chapter 17, verse 28 through 32. I'm not going to rush through it, but I do intend to get through this entire class. It's not much, but hopefully we get something out of it. That is the hope. All right, let's get it. Luke 17, verse 28.
Luke chapter 17, verse 28. Likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built.
What Christ is talking about is the carelessness that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had. And he's symbolizing the carelessness that our people, not just our people, but the entire world will have at the coming of Christ. Who would have thought, if I was living in Sodom and Gomorrah and I'm doing my thing and we're prosperous? Remember, Sodom and Gomorrah was a very prosperous country at the time. And who would have thought that prosperous country would have fallen and been destroyed in a blink of an eye? All right? This is the symbolism Christ is using to show us how quick things can turn over. You know, in this day and age, we have small events. At least in my generation, you know, I wasn't born during war times, right? But at least in my generation, we have COVID. You know, everyone's it's back to school time now, and there's been some studies or people that are wanting to see how the COVID children will be affected in this day and age, because now they're going to school. This will be their first time going to the kindergartens and the first grade of school. And they want to see psychologically how were they impacted during the quote-unquote pandemic time, where the world had changed in the blink of an eye. So we as people now can see how life can change just off of a pandemic or an epidemic or a virus, and how we got to shut down entire civilizations. But could you imagine life changing when entire civilizations wiped off the face of the earth? And now entire government structures are changed. Entire ways of thinking are changed. Entire structures are changed. Who would have thought these things would have happened? This is what Christ is saying when he comes down as a thief in the night. This is the similitude. They're going to be eating. They're going to be drinking. They're going to be getting married. They're going to be living their life. They're going to be buying. They're going to be selling. They're going to be so clueless to what's going on around them. Keep reading.
Verse 29. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all.
As soon as Lot and his family, the only family the Most High considered worthy enough to spare at the consideration of Abraham, as soon as they left the city, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And that's how quick it was. Keep reading.
Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
Okay.
In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise be not returned back.
What he's saying is, when it's time to go, when it's time to move on, when the Most High warns, hey, it's over. This time over here is done. There is no looking back. There is no recollecting of personal memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, let me get my phone charger real quick. I can't be in the wilderness without my phone charger. My phone,
Right.
It's not going to work. Let me get my wallet. Let me get my collections. You know, I got this favorite blanket I had since I was a dog, when I was a little girl, or this favorite doll. Let me go get this first. If I don't have my blanket, I can't sleep at night. There's none of that. Let me get this money I stashed up. Oh, you know, I left my USB drive on my cryptocurrency in the drawer. I can't leave without that. There's over 2 billion Bitcoins in there. I'm just making a number up. But you get the point. There is no more going back. There is no more second guessing. There is no more, hey, you know, Lord, I know you got this fire and brimstone coming down, but give me like 5 more minutes. I got things I got to handle first.
And what would that be in our terms? A natural disaster, a fire like the ones that happened in California, or we just recently had the floods?
And that's a great example, because you even look at some of the playbacks. Some people had the camera recordings in front of their houses and how quick the flood happened. You know, you look at a span of 10 minutes where there was just water at their feet, and they're kind of walking around like, hey, this water's getting kind of high, let's move around. Then 5 minutes later, now half of the tires flooded.
Right.
Then another 5 minutes later, the entire car, the truck is floating in the water.
Yep.
Fast. Destruction happening immediate. But we're looking at instantaneous. Right when this family left, fire's coming down. There's no more coming back. And can I be content and accept, you know what? Because I didn't build my life around materialistic things, that when it's time to let the materialistic things go, it's not going to hurt me. Conscious. It won't cause me to hesitate when it's time to move on. All right? So this is the story and the symbolism that Christ is trying to paint, which is why the next quote makes sense. Read on.
Come on. Verse 32. Remember Lot's wife.
And this is the usual theme that we go into when we're trying to bring up the idea of, hey, when the Most High said it's time to go, it's time to go. When Moses says it's time to move forward, it's time to move forward. There is no time to look back. There is no time to regret. There's no time to reminisce on the old ways of life, the old ways of thinking. That's what Lot's wife symbolizes. All right? What we want to focus on today isn't just this, not having sentimental attachments to the things that are going to be destroyed and not looking back at the old ways of living. It's the environment in which we choose to put ourselves around that create these sentimental attachments, that create these sentimental affections or not,
Affections.
Affiliations.
Fixations. That's the word. These sentimental fixations to where now it's hard to let go of these old vices. It's hard to let go of this old way of life. Okay, and that's why I want to focus more on Lot than Lot's wife. We know the result of having that fixation, which was Lot's wife, where, hey, you're being told by the Most High, by these angels, hey, you can't look back, or if you look back, you're going to die. And she still looks back. We get what that looks like. But what was the environment that Lot was accepting, or what did he accept in his household? So now the people who had maybe less spiritual integrity or less spiritual strength could easily succumb to temptation. So that's what I kind of want to just keep that thought in mind as we're going into these scriptures. So first, let's go to 2 Peter 2 and verse 6 through 9. And if I'm going too fast, if I'm not making any sense, let me know. I don't mind slowing down. I want to really try to explain this as effectively as possible. I don't want to cause confusion. So we got 2 Peter 2 and verse 6.
God, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6.
1 second, let me get there real quick. All right.
2 Peter 2 and 6. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly.
And this is why the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah was so important. Because there was forever going to be a reminder of what happens when an entire people an entire country decides to live pridefully, decides to live consuming their flesh, and how the Most High looks at that. That level of evil that humanity can do, that level of evil in which Sodom and Gomorrah was doing, it is being repeated now. So we know symbolically what's going to happen to a place that symbolizes the same action that Sodom and Gomorrah was doing. All right, that's what that example left. Keep reading.
God, verse 7. And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked.
Now, what it explains is Lot did not like, okay, he did not enjoy living in an environment that was as filthy, as contaminated, and as wicked as Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, just like a lot of us. You know, the Most High says, or Christ says, I would throw you as sheep into wolves. A wolf's den, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a choice, right? Most of us were born in these environments. No, all of us are born into this wicked environment. The world's given to the hand of the wicked. We didn't have necessarily a choice to escape the evils that the United States can bring you, or the evils in which the nations have embedded into our minds, embedded into our children's minds, embedded into our wives' minds, and our parents' minds. We didn't have that chance, right? So, for us, just like Joe or Lot, we can't. We also should be vexed with the filthy conversations of the wicked. All right, does that make any sense? Yes, sir.
Can I please get a definition of that? Conversation?
Sure.
Conversation. You said filthy conversation.
Yeah.
Conversation. General course of manners. Behavior.
Come.
Deportment. Especially as it respects morals.
So, and that's why I'm glad you put that out. I'm not going too in detail with what they were doing yet, because we'll get that in the story. But obviously, there was a level of morality or lack thereof that was bothering Lot.
Yeah.
And for us, you know, as if whatever generation you might be, especially if you're after like 2005 or so, you saw at least you saw what morals looked like before 2008 election with Barack Obama in the United States at the very least. So all of a sudden after 2008, where new laws are getting passed, actually it's 2012, where new laws are getting passed, all of a sudden the Pride Boys is running the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You saw an influx of wickedness that spiked out of nowhere within 4 years' time.
It started off during that time period through television.
Yes.
Because there was a television called Empire, and that's when they
That was
started.
later though. Empire, the rap game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was during that time period though.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Dang.
But during that time, they were putting on the TV show certain images that that wasn't supposed. That was against moral code.
Yeah.
Moral ethics.
That was 2013. Just to clarify, but that was a little later. But for young generations, for young minds, you're right. Impressionable minds. The subtlety was already there. All right, the subtlety, the images were already there. They were getting put in old Disney movies and old cartoons. It was always kind of thrown out there. But I'm talking about how the wickedness just got more bold.
Yeah.
After a certain point. All right, and for us, you should have at least known. Hey, I don't necessarily like where society is going right now. I don't necessarily like the direction in which it's going. Just like Lot didn't like the direction in which the Sodomites were going. Because they were getting more and more wicked, more and more defiled. And we're going to the scriptures to prove that as well. They were already negative. But as time went on, they got even more negative.
Mm-hmm.
So that rubbed Lot the wrong way. So let's read it from the top again. 2 Peter 2 and verse 7.
Verse 7, Con. And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked.
Uh-huh.
For that the righteous man...
Nope. Oh, read again.
Filthy conversation of the wicked.
No, 8.
8. For that righteous man, Slakia,
Yep.
dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds.
Now, I want to focus on this center point because there's a reason why I brought up how nowadays, we don't have a choice. We are thrown in the wolf's den. And from the day we're born, it's a constant battle to get rid of the old sicknesses that we inherited generationally, and then avoid the new sicknesses that are waiting for us as we get older and older and older. at that time, where Abraham and Lot had just left Chaldea. They left Ur, and they went to Chaldea, and they left Chaldea. They didn't have to go into new wicked lands, or they didn't have to stay in new wicked lands. And that's one point that caught my attention. As a righteous man, yes, I shouldn't enjoy, and I should get vexed, and I shouldn't like being around this wickedness. But for Lot to have stayed in that environment shows a little different side of his character. Okay? Just keep that in the back of your mind. He didn't have to be there. He didn't have to stay there the entire time. And you look at the time period in which he was there, Lot was there for almost 24 years.
Oh, he was there for 24 years.
He was there for 24 years. We're going to prove that in the scriptures too. He was there. He wasn't there for like a year and he was passing by. He was there for a long period of time. So when you have someone who is so vexed and frustrated with the wickedness of the world, why stay there for so long? Why grow your family there so long? Why set your roots down in that location? What about that location caught your eye to where you can bypass the wickedness of what was around you and accept it? The acceptance is what I'm going to bring out today, and what I'm trying to talk and try to show. The acceptance, yes, it was unbearable, but at the same time, you didn't make any decisions to leave. Just keep that in the back of your mind. What you going to say, sir?
I was just going to add, he was there long enough to watch bad get worse and worse. He was there long enough to watch the progression over time.
That's the point. That's the point. You're right. Verse 9, let's read it.
Verse 9, the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
Now the Most High, still being merciful, was able to deliver Lot from the defilement of Sodom and Gomorrah. But again, my point still remains. If it was this defiled and this wicked, why put myself around this environment for as long as I did? And was that his original, or rather, was Lot's original intention to be in the heart of Sodom and Gomorrah? So, that's what we're going to focus on today. That's the story. Let that go. Let's go to Genesis 13 and verse 8 through 13. We're not going to read every single bit of this story. There's certain parts I might just verbally talk through just to save us some time to focus on the meat and potatoes. But if there's a question on an event, I can give a little more explanation on that as well. So give me that Genesis 13. Excuse me. 13 and verse 8.
Genesis chapter 13, verse 8. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee?
Let's go up a little bit just to give a little more backtrack. Give me verse 5.
Genesis chapter 13 and verse 5. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together.
I think that's very important to kind of stop right there. Because from the very beginning, neither Lot nor Abraham was poor. They weren't broke. There was no need. They didn't need more. Okay? And when you look at what the Most High had given them, when leaving the Chaldees, they had so much excess. They had so much excess, all right? So keep going.
Verse 7. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren.
Okay, so the strife or the issue was over, Josephus says it was over grazing rights. Abraham's flock, or maybe Lot's flock, went over to the other side of the fence, and they were eating up the good grass. And there was an argument between the cow herders, like, hey man, your cow's crossing lines. I don't like that. Get him a check. And then it's pride, it's folly. But that little bit of pride, a little bit of spark of contention, Abraham realized, you know what, this could be a problem because we have so much, and we're so great together. The number of our households, our servants, our handsmaids are so much. Let's just split up. We have a lot of land in front of us. Let's go one direction. You go the other direction. That was the understanding, and that's why Abraham was talking a lot about. Let's read verse 9.
Verse 9. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere.
So regardless of where you looked, whether you went east or where you went west, there was going to be plentifulness. It was going to be arable land, which means it was going to be fertile. You can grow your crops. You can your cattle can graze. There would have been a problem in whichever direction you went. All right, keep reading.
Before the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Most High, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
He's saying, so before the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even up into Zoar, which at that time, Zoar was the place in which, that was the first place in which Lot and his daughters escaped to, all right, getting away from the destruction. So that entire landmass, I don't necessarily know the scope. I don't know the scope of it, but that entire landmass was plentiful. It was abundant. There was prosperity all around. All right, keep reading.
Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom.
Stop right there. Abram went west. Abram went west to Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain. He was not in Sodom and Gomorrah yet. Lot pitched his tent on the outskirts. When you look up how far the plain was from Sodom, it was close, but it was about 20 miles away. So there was still a distance from the city to where he was staying at. All right. So he says he pitched his tent towards Sodom. Read on.
Verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Most High exceedingly.
So there is a good reason, or maybe there's a good chance in which why Lot at that time decided to stay away from the city of Sodom and stay on the outskirts. Okay, let's go into Wisdom of Solomon 2 in verse 1 through 12. Why would a righteous man, remember, Lot was righteous. Lot despised wickedness. Why would a righteous man avoid wanting to inhabit himself in a city full of unrighteous people, unrighteous individuals? Knowing what he knew, he was under the caretaking of Abraham for many, many years since his father had died. So he was being trained in the way of righteousness for a long time. So why would a righteous man not want to put himself in an environment that could corrupt him? What type of environment could that have been? So let's read Wisdom of Solomon 2 and verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave.
So first things first, you realize the ungodly's mentality is very pessimistic. It's very hard to be spiritually charged, spiritually motivated when I'm in an environment that's always negative, that's always looking at the worst side of society, always looking at the worst side of life. Why are we going through the day-to-day routine, doing the rat race? I'm working hard just to die in the ground. I need to get more out of this life. Just serving God is not enough. This is the mentality in which Lot was about to walk into, or could have walked into, if he chose to go in the city versus living in the plain. As a righteous man, why would I want to put myself in an environment that could be so negatively charged towards being pietous? All right, keep reading.
Verse 2. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air, and our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away
as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof.
Look at the thought process. What was more important to an ungodly man? Or rather, an ungodly civilization? You need to make a name for yourself. If you're not living to make a name for yourself, you're wasting your time. If you're not living to maximize the opportunities around you, to establish your history, to establish your legacy, you're wasting your time on this earth. We don't have enough time to be playing games. You don't got enough time to not get the bag. You don't have enough time not to maximize your time, not to live your life to the fullest. What does that sound like?
YOLO.
Like, yeah.
YOLO.
YOLO.
I'm
You only live once.
That's
You
the
only live
that's the
once.
that's the YN
That's the motto.
mentality.
YOLO. That's what Drake said.
Every day, every day.
That's what Drake said. Because this is the mentality in which all ungodly say themselves. Why do X, Y, and Z? Why grind, sweat, sacrifice, lose time studying and lose time going to school and lose time and working a job without getting anything out of this? Is that all my life is just working a job and dying? Is that all my life is taking care of a house and dying? I need more out of life. I am not fulfilled. The ungodly is always looking to place themselves of higher importance than what they are. So when I place myself of higher importance than what I am not obsessed with myself. I am not obsessed with my own legacy, my own lifestyle, my own stability. And you know who gets forgotten? The Most High. Because guess what? I can't be chasing the bag, but then going to class 4 times a week. I can't chase the bag and chase my lifestyle and be around people who don't think the same way I think. I'm talking about money works. They're talking about Bible works. That don't mix. We don't even agree. So now my friends have to be also like-minded individuals. You see how this is working? That makes more sense on why a righteous man like Lot wouldn't want to live in the city. How can you continue to practice righteousness when everyone around you, your co-workers, your friends, they're all talking negative and wicked?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to sustain a spirit of strength like that, right? Logically. What you got, Karai?
Now, I was going to say on your point about the mentality of the ungodly, they value pursuing vainglory.
Exactly.
That's what they value.
That's a good verse. We'll get that. Hold that. They value, I forgot to add that. They value vainglory because, again, just serving the Most High is not enough. And I know we sound like a broken record. I almost had to war about this. Like, man, we are always saying you ain't doing enough servitude. You gotta love God.
Repeat
Repeat
classes.
You think the world is gonna treat you right? You're lying to yourself. We say this all the time, but it's true. It's true, and you know it's true because of how easy it is to get detached from a spiritual mindset. How fast it can be to be going straight back into carnality thinking, which is a selfish way of operating. The more selfish I am, the more closely aligned I am to an ungodly way of thinking. Rather, the selfless person, the person that looks outside themselves and the needs of others around him, and the needs of what the Most High requires of them, that person gets the last cookie, so to speak. That person doesn't get satisfied in the flesh. But that is the life the Most High chose us to live. That's the life even Abraham chose to live.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're looking at the mentality of the ungodly and why a righteous man would want to avoid going into the city. All right? Keep reading.
God. Verse 5. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 5. For our time is as a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present.
You see that? Why waste time when there's so much we can enjoy?
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to a brother, and we were talking about addictions. And I was telling him, you know what, an addiction is an interesting thing. Because when someone's addicted to one thing, more times than not, they're addicted to something else at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's normally multiple addictions going on at the same time. They might not realize it, but if you're extremely lustful in one thing, you're extremely lustful in a whole lot of other things. All right? So we got extremely lustful individuals who are saying we got to enjoy all good things that are present. Every good thing that's present, we got to enjoy. What does that sound like? He's a dopamine addict. They're addicted to the good time, the good feeling, the moments,
Excitement.
so to speak. The
Excitement.
excitement of life. But now they get you in trouble.
Real.
Now you start tapping into things that you shouldn't be tapping into: the drugs, the psychedelics, the alcohol, the sexual partners. I'm just tapping into everything because everything can give me some type of good feeling.
That high of
I can
natural
get a
release.
good rush out of this experience.
That euphoria.
It's a euphoric experience. So why let that pass by from me? This is the mentality in which a wicked society would carry and instill in their children, instill in their wives, instill in their friends. Everyone now has this think tank of the same type of thought process.
Right.
And if you think different, you're now an outcast.
Mm-hmm.
Or you think you're better than us. Or you're just more spiritual than us. Or we got a God believer over here.
You're lame.
Or
Yeah, you're lame.
You're
You're
lame.
square.
You're square. You didn't experience life more. You don't know what you're missing.
Missing out.
You're missing out on all the experience that life has to offer you. Now you have to battle these thought processes. We know because we're in the world.
Peer pressure.
We were born in this world. Your entire life in journeying the truth, whether you were born in the truth or not. For those that were young in the truth, you've been seeing this since you was a kid. For those that came in from the world, you saw this the second you started saying, I love God. Yahweh Shem Yahshua. The second you start saying that stuff, oh yeah, you're getting all the judgment, all the conversations. You don't know what you're missing. Why would you miss out on the fun time? What about the celebrations for the children?
Mm-hmm.
What about the experience? Oh, you don't do pork no more? I got this nice ham right here. Oh, you don't go to these events no more? This is going to be the best event in your life. All these things, you just feel like you're missing out on now. But you see that immediately the second you walk into these doors and say, you know what, I'm serving God. But a lot, he didn't have to go through that. And he didn't initially, right? Initially, he chose to stay outside the city to avoid this type of temptation, to avoid this type of oppression. This is oppression. This is what we call oppression. When I want to sit here and serve and live a certain way, and every force around me is pushing me the opposite direction. That is an oppressive force. And for some people, it makes them go mad. For some people, it makes them lose their discipline. For some people, that oppression, that peer pressure is what causes somebody to not follow through in the spirit, to not continue on the path, on the righteous path, because those influences are too strong to fight back.
You feel singled out, therefore you feel alone.
You feel alone, and that alone feeling, that feeling of being the oddball. For instance, there was a study done, perfect example. There was a study done in the 80s. There was 9 FBI agents in a room and 1 civilian. And the study was, I think it was in the 60s actually. And the study was, give everybody a square, give everyone a piece of paper that's a square on a piece of paper, and tell the 9 FBI agents to say this is a circle. And unbeknownst to the 1 civilian there, he didn't know there was 9 FBI agents. So as they're going down the line, one agent after another, hey, what does that shape look like? Oh, this is a circle. What does that shape look like? Oh, it's a circle. What does that shape look like? 9 people in a row, all saying it's a circle, but you're looking at a square. Now it's your turn. What answer do you think that one civilian said? What shape do you think he said after hearing 9 circles, knowing he sees a square?
He succumbed
To the peer pressure. He said it was a circle. But he's looking at this paper like, am I going crazy or not? I see a square. But everyone is saying, and I see theirs is a square. Why are they seeing a circle and I'm not seeing a circle? So to avoid being the oddball, to avoid being the weirdo, to avoid being the one person that got a contrary idea in the room, now I'm just going to accept it. But what is media? We look at media, and 100 channels are saying the exact same script.
Yeah.
We put them side by side. Do you want to be that one weirdo that goes into class the next day? Like, yeah, man, I think they're lying. No, because the rest of the world thinks they're telling the truth. Because everyone is saying the same thing.
Love is love.
Love is love. Guys is not being treated bad. I'm not gonna go too heavy into that.
We're all created equal.
We're all created equal. God loves everybody. What's another one? You can do whatever you want.
Do as thou wilt.
The law is dead. You don't need to follow the law anymore. You have all these people, a large sum of people saying contrary messages, now making your fight in Christ that much harder.
And what does that do to somebody? It makes you ask yourself, what's wrong with me?
Exactly.
Questioning
Why am I the weirdo? Why did I grow
questioning
up
your faith.
with a different faith than anybody else? Why is my faith the only one in the entire school who does this one thing, and everybody else does Christmas? So you got to go into class, and you're like, yeah, I don't do Christmas, guys. And they're all clowning like, man, you didn't get no presents?
They looking
Like,
at you
the
crazy.
worst part, I'll say this, the worst part as a kid, bro, you know the truth, everyone has Christmas, right? Or the Three Kings Day for Hispanic
Yeah.
culture. Three Kings Day, that's the 24th. And they come back after the winter break with the freshest clothes out of there, and you still wearing the same first day school clothes that you wore in August. And like, dang, but you didn't get no new clothes? Like, where your Christmas clothes at? I said, man, I didn't, you know how it is sometimes. You gotta make all kinds of excuses like, we didn't have it this year. Some crazy stuff. Okay, well, what Christmas gifts you get? What gifts you get? I ain't getting no gifts. You ain't getting no gifts? You ain't getting nothing? Every year was the same. It was like a broken record, bro.
Your
The
parents don't
same
love you.
conversation. Yeah, they didn't say that. But they were like, look, how come you ain't get no gifts? Even the quote-unquote broke kids in school had gifts. You ain't got no gifts?
They don't love you.
They don't love you, bro. Hey, look,
Yeah.
my folks take care of you. They ain't getting your gifts. I'll take care. I get some Christmas gifts. You can have some of my clothes. You get into sympathy conversations like, bro, this is the worst thing ever. That little level of peer pressure, that's on one holiday. Don't mention the other ones, the Halloweens. Everyone is coming to school with their Halloween costumes.
bro.
And you're like, I can't do that, guys. You can't dress up. Oh, my God. You're getting clowned. It's never all year long, whether it's in October 31st, whether it's Turkey Day, you don't want to sit here and wear the little turkey costumes. Then it's Christmas time, you ain't getting no presents. Then it's Easter.
Mhm.
Easter comes around, you don't want to do no bunny activities. You just left out the entire school year. You're always the weird kid. You're always the one that doesn't do what everybody else does.
You're not wearing green.
The green
Yeah.
one, right? You're not wearing green. You're
got
not getting pinched. You never get pinched. You need to get some green, dog. I need to pinch you, dog. No, bro, it's all year long. That's from a child's perspective of growing in the truth. But it's no different when you're an adult in the same environment. Because those are the same questions. What'd you guys do for Christmas this year? What'd you guys do for Thanksgiving? Your family come over? You go to your parents' house? Oh, man, we don't celebrate. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
You're not participating.
It's a slow, like, why? Like, you Muslim?
That's the first thing they ask
You're
you.
not participating in the
That's the first
potluck
thing they
today?
Yeah, like what do you mean? You say like Kwanzaa or something? Like Kwanzaa? Why you gotta go to Kwanzaa? Oh my God! What you got? What you got?
Yeah, they had this look in their eyes, like they're questioning about whether or not they should call child protective services.
Brother, that's a real thought process. Like, why are you withholding your kids from such a great experience in life? Like it's for the kids. Because it's like, okay, well, you don't celebrate that, but why can't the kids celebrate it? They're just kids. They don't know any better. They're just kids.
It's a tradition.
They're just kids.
Harmless.
You don't have any tradition. I remember I was doing this Spanish conversation with this guy from from Venezuela. And he was like, yeah, man, one of our questions we asked the people was like, tell us a little bit about your tradition in the household. And I was thinking, I said, man, I don't really have traditions. I mean, we celebrate Hanukkah. He said, well, what do you guys do? I said, we meet up. He said, that's all you guys do all year? I said, no, we have Passover. And he's like, well, what about Christmas and Halloween? He said, down here, during like December time, do you guys wear different color garments? Like, that's the thing down there. Like, if during that time of year, you wear like a red garment if it's about love. If it's yellow, you wear like a yellow undergarment for, I think it's prosperity, something like that. They have different. It's little customs, or there's like a grape custom. I forgot the grape custom, but they have little traditions to go with their holidays. And I'm like, you don't have any of these little traditions that we share culturally. Like, this is a cultural thing. This isn't just a Venezuelan thing. This is a Mexico thing. This is a Guatemalan thing. They all share kind of the same cultural little things. Little grape things, little undergarment things. We don't have that. I didn't have that. I said, man, besides Hanukkah, he said, well, okay, what part of Judaism religion do you believe in? I said, well, I'm not the typical. Now I explain what I am. Now I go into the history of what I am. Now he's just looking at me. He's like, okay, All right, next question. I'm like, okay, well, obviously you didn't understand this process, and that's fine. But a lot of people get very uncomfortable having to explain it, having to constantly justify why I do what I do, even though the entire world does not do what I do. That's the reality that we who live in this environment have to endure. But for a lot who at the time had escaped that reality with Abraham and were able to live on their own and establish their own righteousness with the Most High, they wouldn't have had to gone through that. They wouldn't have had to gone through those social stigmas, that uncomfortable vibration, always being the oddball. They could have been the quote-unquote king in their own castle, living in righteousness like Abraham got to enjoy. But why did the Most High only work with an Abraham and not a Lot? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. We're reading the wicked characteristics and why it wouldn't make sense to want to live in an environment like this. But as we read in 2 Peter 2 and 6, Lot was in Sodom. How did he go from living in the plains to now he's living in Sodom of destruction? What happened between that time period? Where did the mindset change? Why did the mindset change? So, let's keep reading. We're at
We just finished.
we don't need to read any more of this. Let's jump to verse 12. No, let's jump to verse 10. 10 to 12. You don't got to change the marking of it. If you want to read 2 to 12, it's cool. But I want you to meet the potatoes, so we did a little more talking than I expected. So let's read verse 10 through 12.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged.
Any righteous man or family or household seeing this would have a despising to this type of wickedness. To see oppression on a large scale of righteous people, first and foremost. I'm trying to live righteous, and now you're clowning, talking down, trying to destroy everyone who's living a contrary way that you are.
Mm-hmm.
No one want to be in that type of environment. Read on.
Verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
The idea that if you're not strong, if you're not in your youth, you're not in the prime of your life, you have no meaning in society. Which means being an elder has no meaning in society. Which means having wisdom has no meaning in society. Having experiences of the proper way of operating, morality-wise, that no longer matters. Because the generation that rules society is the young generation. If the young generation says it's okay to be LGBTQ, whatever the heck, then you know that's the new way of life. Although 50 years before, that was never a custom in society. Because we decided to live it, the millennial generation, it was millennial. The millennial generation decided we're going to change this up, then that's the new way of life. And everybody else after that had to suffer the consequences. This is the type of lifestyle and thinking that a wicked nation or a wicked generation would operate, a wicked city would operate in. And no righteous person would want to be in this type of environment if they had the choice. All right? Keep reading.
God. Verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law.
Because you know what's going to happen if you decide to live in an environment that is completely opposite to your morals, customs, and belief. Then eventually you're going to be the center of attention. Because why do you make us feel dirty? Why do you make us feel uncomfortable? Why do you make us feel like we're doing something wrong? This is what we experience on a small scale when we go to family functions and we're the only ones who abstain from certain meats. Everyone else looking at you like, why do you think you're better than us? Oh, you don't eat pork no more. Oh, you don't eat the seafood no more. You don't eat the seafood boil no more. Oh, you better. Oh, you educated now. You different now. Now you feel uncomfortable because they feel uncomfortable, and everybody in the house is uncomfortable. Now they're gonna attack you. They're attacking everything about you. You still ain't this. I remember when you was this years old, you was still doing X, Y, and Z. Look, just because you changed your lifestyle don't mean you're better than us. Now you're on the fence the entire trip, just trying to live righteous. But this is what's waiting for you if you put yourself in an environment where it's contrary to righteousness. Eventually, the wicked want to get rid of you because you make their lifestyle uncomfortable to bear. You make being wicked hard to be free and wicked. Because there's always been that one person over there that looks different. That reminds you how you don't have to be this dirty. You don't have to be this contra. You don't have to be this sick. I'm going to sickness too. Because diet is lead to sickness. So you get that one healthy guy on the block, and your whole house, your whole family block is unhealthy. But that one person's unhealthy. That one person's healthy. You're gonna clown that one person. Because if you don't clown them, then you gotta feel bad about yourself. This is the mentality of living around a sick environment, and why no one would want to put themselves logically in this type of environment. Finish that up in verse 11 or verse 12.
Wisdom of Solomon 2 and verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressings of our education.
He's clowning the education. He's clowning your morality. He's clowning your lifestyle. We gotta get rid of him. We gotta get rid of this guy, this righteous guy, because he makes me feel dirty.
He's a threat.
He's a threat. He's a threat to my way of living, my free choice. Having this guy here is a threat to my free choice. Why do you think that the Democrats are so mad at Trump? Not saying this guy is righteous. This guy is not righteous. But what he is a threat to is their free choice of living on certain arenas, on certain aspects of the law. When there was the Democrats in power, you can do as many abortions as you want. You can live as free,
liberal.
You can live as liberally, sexually liberally as you wanted to.
No
limitations.
Almost
no limitations.
You could be called certain.
You can go wherever you want.
Whatever.
You can be whatever you want. You want to be a mythical creature? You are now a mythical creature. And if someone says no, they're the problem, not you. They're the problem.
Yeah.
That was a weird, 4 years. That was a weird, awkward 4 years. You gotta be super careful. He, she, her, they, them, whatever.
Pronoun.
Anything, everything, everywhere, anyone. I'm a
Dog.
cat, dog,
Yeah.
dolphin, giraffe. Whatever you wanted to be, no one can tell you otherwise. Now you got this orange guy coming to power and saying no more abortions. And you are now going to be what your designated sex was at birth. People going crazy, killing themselves. They said the suicide rate on the election day went through the roof. It was like 1,000%.
Wow.
Yeah, the LGBTQ was just off on themselves at mass because they couldn't handle the idea of someone telling them your idiotic thinking is not going to stand no more. So people feel threatened about this. You're attacking my lifestyle. You're attacking my belief system. You're attacking my livelihood. I gotta get you out of here. Yes, sir.
So I sleep in the back there. The other night, Wednesday night, I heard about 7 or 8 Judites talking bad about the school. Man. You know what? I'm gonna tell you. I almost jumped up, but I know my situation. I have the Most High God with me, and I know I have to. My brother, you are completely right. I mean, deliberately talking about the sort of truth. Yeah, they online, they do this, they do this. Them niggas is off. Blah, 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 blah. I know I'm a Jew. And man, I started to, but I said, I got to get my shit together. Excuse me. I got to get my thing together. All I'm just letting y'all know, I'm letting none of these dudes, they must be affiliated. Barbershop cool and all the dudes must be, but they in the back smoking weed and stuff. You know,
Of course.
I'm wicked. I do mine. But what you're saying is that them niggas is off.
Because what people who don't want to push themselves think is, why do I gotta feel the peer pressure of righteousness when majority of people operate the way I operate? What makes you, your group, your particular way of thinking superior to my way of thinking? I have more people that agree with my way of thinking, so that's why I believe I'm right and you're wrong. That's group take thinking. That is, you know what? That's why even white man says surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Because if you surround yourself with like-minded individuals, you'll feel confident in whatever you think is right or wrong. Fine, fair enough. We know we don't live according to our own personal perspective. We have a Bible that says live a certain way. They live whatever way they feel like is the correct way. And wherever the wind takes them, that's where they're going to be going. But the point is that disgust doesn't leave just because you try to keep a low-key posture in a wicked society. They're always going to know you're different. Whether it be your dress code, whether it be the way you carry yourself. We got a company today of how we carry ourselves in the job, right?
Yeah.
You know what? That also is a threat to people. Because when I think about it, why are you guys this way? I can get my own employees like that. What makes you guys think you're better than me? It don't take much for someone to just change their heart. Like, you know what? I see virtue, but that virtue makes me feel bad in my circumstance. Why can't I have employees like that? Why can't I have people like that? That can also create envy.
Right.
Inferiority. Now it's an inferiority complex.
And in that scripture it said that the righteous, they know that they are clean
Come.
and contrary to their filthy ways.
Come.
And that's the uncomfortable feeling. Like, well, yeah, like you said, you think you're better than me?
Yeah, because you're confident in what you do. And what you stand on is not going to be wavered by social pressures. Why do we choose to go through this thought process? Because when Lot decided to live in the plain facing towards Sodom, this is what he was avoiding. When we in our lives choose to disintegrate, I think that's a word, disassociate. That's disagree. That sounds right.
Segregate.
Because
Because
integrate is to get in, but disintegrate is to get out of integration, right?
Unintegrated.
Unintegrated personality. Exactly. You see that, right? You see that, right? When we disassociate, I know that was a fact. That's right. That word is right. When we disassociate ourselves with the wickedness, and we reassociate ourselves with righteous individuals, now we are protected from a lot of these exterior temptations, pressures, oppressions. All right, that is the understanding from this point of view, and that would have helped Lot stay stronger, and not just Lot, but the people around Lot, his wife, his children, staying stronger for a longer period of time, even if they didn't have the necessary same morality that Lot had. Seeing the strong example and not being flooded by wickedness would have kept them in the faith longer.
Would you say that can be somewhat similar to how the Essene Jews lived back then, as far as segregating themselves from society?
It makes sense. The premise makes sense. If I take myself away from wickedness, and we only live a certain way, because even like the Essenes, that's a great point. The Essenes, you couldn't even join the Essenes for an entire year,
Right.
but you still had to do what the Essenes did without any of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get none of the brother time. You didn't get none of the free time. You was just grinding for a year.
Yeah. Trying to join.
Trying to show that I'm about this.
Yeah.
And you're grinding and you're busting your tail to live this rigorous lifestyle. Then after a year's time, then you get the pat on the back. Okay, you can now join our meals. Now you can hang with us. We're still gonna be doing the same work, but now you can get the benefits of the brotherhood or the sisterhood of this group. Mm-hmm. That there is a virtue to that. The only difference is, and at that time, when Christ came down, it was more about saving the world than just saving your skin. And I believe that's why Christ didn't focus on necessarily the Essenes and glory them more than maybe how they looked. He didn't bash them, but he didn't glory them either. Because at that time, we're trying to rebuild a nation. Even now, it doesn't benefit us for all the men and women in Israel trying to be righteous to just leave San Antonio or leave whatever city they're in, leave their camp, and just live in the mountains, live by themselves. Because now who's going to teach the lost tribes of Israel? Who's going to teach the people that are still trying to find spirituality? If we decide to leave and go settle up in a shack or go settle up in the mountains and just grow our own food and do our own thing, nobody else is getting taught down here.
Right.
That's the policy in which a war has believed in the firm, and I can see why. Because again, the strength has to be in the midst of it. But at this time, with Lot, that wasn't the case. At this time, you're trying to rebuild a nation in your own households. Abraham didn't have to go into Egypt and, you know what, I'm going to stay in Egypt and all y'all going to do my religion. He realized they weren't about it, he left. He was in Canaan, those little Philistines, whatever they were, they weren't trying to be righteous, I'm going to get them out of here. And we're going to start this from scratch. The point is, remember, Lot was there for 24 years. What if he went in the city to try to change them and taught them? How long does it take for you to realize they don't want the word? Even in the New Testament, Christ said, go to the city. They receive you not. Dust the feet off your shoes and get up out of there.
Right.
Why am I staying in there? At that point, it's no longer about the people. It's no longer about building them up. You want something out the deal. There's something about this place that you enjoy. I don't want to leave. So, let's go to Psalms 101.
Psalm chapter 1, verse 1.
Psalms 1 and verse 1.
Psalms chapter 1, verse 1.
Yep.
Cool. Psalms 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
Because regardless of wherever Lot was going to go, as long as he didn't integrate himself amongst the ungodly, he was going to be blessed. He didn't have to have a game plan on what his life was going to look like. Just like Abraham didn't have a game plan. Abraham just followed. Abram, get up and go. Go to this side of the land. Abram, okay, now that you're in Canaan, walk all around the circumference of Canaan.
Right.
Well, not the circumference, but the perimeter. And this is going to be your new land for your generations. You're not getting a whole mapped out lifestyle plan, but if I do what I'm told, the Most High is going to continue to bless me. This is what Abraham was getting showed, but Lot was with Abraham while he was getting shown all these things. Why couldn't this have gotten passed on, this thought process? Read it again.
Psalms chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
It said, now remember this verse, because not only does it say, don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, don't be taking advice from ungodly individuals. Obviously. I shouldn't be standing in the way of sinners. I shouldn't be in the city. I shouldn't be in the communities. I shouldn't be in the environment at all. If I'm not in the environment, I'll get blessed. If I am in the environment, I get cursed. Then he says, don't sit in the seat of the scornful. I shouldn't be an elder in these environments. I shouldn't be a respected individual in these environments.
I shouldn't establish myself
In these environments. Exactly. Remember this point. Because again, Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah for 24 years. What was he doing for 24 years? Let that go. Now we're going to Josephus. The Josephus, because I want to at least give Lot a little bit of credit. We're not saying Lot was a wicked, dirty dude, but that duality, that part of him that wasn't 100% like-minded like Abraham was like-minded, 100% dedicated like Abraham was dedicated, is what got him caught up. So now we're into Josephus, book 1, chapter 8, point 170 if you have the blue book. If you have the blue book, it's point 170. And then we're going to read through 9 and 1. So the first point is chapter 8 in book 1, parentheses 170.
Okay. Okay.
It's
The last paragraph.
yeah, last paragraph.
It's the last
It says
paragraph.
Page 39.
it says he took himself to the what the other left.
Come
Yeah, read that.
on. Book Antiquities of the Jews, chapter 8, book 1, paragraph 3, line 170. And he took himself what the other left, which were the lower grounds at the foot of the mountains. And he himself dwelled in Hebron, which is a city 7 years more ancient.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Not yet. What we're trying to figure out is the character of Lot, not the story yet. I jumped a little bit. So go to book 1, chapter 11, line 200. It's one chapter. It's one page over.
Come on. Chapter 11, line.
Scratch that out of your notes.
Page
It's
41.
The book of the Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 11, line 208, and it should start with
There is no 208.
200.
200.
And the line should start with, and the angels came to the city of Sodomites. It's a little bit below. So I got 2 sentences below. Paragraph 3.
Come a little bit below line 200.
Yep.
Where it starts.
And the angels came to the city of the Sodomites.
You got it. Page 41, chapter 11. Book 1, chapter 11, paragraph. End of paragraph. Well, actually.
It's all good. It's paragraph 3, line 200. Let's read it.
For there were but 10.
Nope. And the angels came to the city of the Sodomites.
I got it. It's the second sentence of line 200.
Uh-huh.
And the angels came to the city of the Sodomites, and Lot entreated them to accept of a lodging with them.
Uh-huh.
For he was a very generous and hospitable man, and one that had learned to imitate.
Hold on. One that learned to what?
To imitate
What?
the goodness of Abraham.
So what did Lot get out of being around Abraham his entire time? He learned to imitate, to copy, to try to mirror how Abraham would have operated. There's nothing wicked about that. In fact, it is good to be zealous, and it's good to mirror the elder in which you're around. Hold that. Give me Galatians 4 and 18. Because again, we're giving credit to where credit's due. Lot wasn't just this wicked guy. What it's showing is Lot has a lot of elements in which we have today. A lot of good elements in us. But the reasoning sometimes that we choose doesn't make much sense. But if we have good examples and we're zealously affected, we're on a good track. Read that. Galatians 4 and 18.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 18. But it is good to be zealously affected, always in a good thing.
It is good to be zealously affected, always in a good thing. Read on.
And not only when I am present with you.
So it's a good thing that Lot still maintains some of his righteous morals that he picked up from Abraham. Let that go. Give me 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 31. 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 31. So the fact that Lot had picked up something, it wasn't just this wicked, crazy guy after leaving the presence of his older brother, so to speak, his uncle, was a good sign. But again, that didn't fix every issue in him. The imitation didn't evolve past just imitating. It didn't evolve past, or it didn't evolve into his own spiritual development. Read that, 2 Corinthians 12 and verse 31. 1 Corinthians, my fault.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 31. But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet show I unto you a more excellent way.
So like Paul said, we're supposed to covet the best gifts in the people around us, but we're supposed to live the more excellent way. For Lot, the more excellent faith, the more excellent way was living like Abraham in thought process and in mentality. Okay, let's take Abraham's life and let's do a little backtrack. When Abraham was around unpious individuals, if I'm Lot, I saw Abraham leave that environment.
Right.
I saw Abraham leave his entire family, his entire kindred, and go somewhere else to where there was no foundation. There was no history there. There was no backing there.
Start from scratch.
He started from scratch because there was no piety where he was at. I saw Abraham step by step in his early ways. No, not even his early ways. Abraham left. They split when Abraham was 75. They were together for a long time. So for years, decades, I'm seeing Abraham operate in a pious manner. He was the only pious man in the entire generation.
He saw his example.
He saw the example face to face. What you got?
Imitation. Attempting a resemblance.
That's the point. I'm attempting to be like Abraham. Again, there's nothing wrong with attempting to think like your elders. When you're in a situation and you don't got the phone call answer, you have to now attempt to imitate the actions and the thought process of how your elders would operate. That's not wicked. What it shows is eventually we have to become wise ourselves. Eventually, we have to win the trust of the Most High to get the spirit of wisdom for ourselves now. That has to happen. Because if it does not, the likelihood of you falling short in the spirit is very high. And this is what was happening to Lot. He imitated, He coveted some of his hospitality, his best generosity, his gifts, but he wasn't fully locked into how he thought. His mentality wouldn't have kept Abraham in a wicked environment like Sodom for 24 years and laid his roots down there. Abraham would have not done that. His mentality wouldn't have saw all this wickedness and just been disgusted within himself and not done anything about that. Remember, even when Abraham's wife was kidnapped, he went to war with the Egyptians and was blasting all of their idolatry every day until he got his wife back, destroying all of their belief systems. Abraham didn't just sit by and let it happen. He was going to war. Was that what Lot did? No. So, let that go. Now let's go back to Josephus. Or actually, y'all, you had a verse. Pull that verse before we go there. It was 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14.
2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
And this is the point. Why am I going to surround myself with people who aren't conformed to the thinking that I'm operating in? Why allow myself to be tempted in the first place? Or be in an environment that could tempt me, that could bring me to my fall.
Or to tempt your family. Because he had his wife
or to my
and
family.
he had his children.
Or to my
You know what I'm saying? Like, you would be more considerate over your family's sake and what influence that they are entertaining or that are surrounding them.
But you know what's crazy about that? That you could tell the family wasn't necessarily on the mind because who did he marry his daughters to? They were married, or they were married. They hadn't conceived yet, but they were still married according to scriptures. Yeah. Even the Bible says it. To the Sodomites, the Sodom and Gomorrites, who were also impious or unpious to the Most High. So you got your daughters with impiety, and you're surprised that the daughters think or live impious as well? That's not surprising. Back then, the men had power over who their daughters married. There was no sneaking out and sneaky links and this is my surprise boyfriend that I've been talking to for 2 years. That wasn't
Surprise
how life was,
boyfriend.
bro. So you got to accept this now. I'm already pregnant, so here it is. This is what we are. That's not how life was operating back in the day. If you wanted to marry anybody, you had to go through the father. There was a whole process. You know,
They grew up with each other.
Sometimes,
the family.
Not everybody. Like obviously, well, they might have grown up together, but not every time. Because Isaac and Rebecca didn't grow up together.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So it's not that they grew up together, but if you're gonna get married, the family needs to know you.
Right.
And it's got to be an agreement between both parties. Okay, I'm gonna give you my daughter, you can give me your son. Cool. He allowed them to get married to the Sodomites. Why would you do that? That don't make any sense.
Abraham wouldn't have.
Abraham didn't even do that.
Abraham, he said he didn't want his son to get married with a Canaanite woman.
That's why Abraham didn't marry Canaanite. For that same reason. Let's keep reading.
It says, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what common communion hath light with darkness?
How much righteousness, how much communion can you have with darkness? Unless there's some little darkness with you too. You're doing business with them. Hey. You're in the camp with them. Hey. You're living in the city with them. Hey. Now you're... Well, I don't want to spoil it. So, I don't want to spoil that. So, let's get back to Josephus, 1 and verse 11. Yep.
Chapter 11, paragraph 3 still. Where do you want? Do you want the angels again?
Yes. Yeah, so now we're going... No. No, my fault. We're going Josephus.
Or back to chapter 8?
Chapter 8.
Gotcha.
Line 170.
Chapter 8, line 170.
Yep.
That's paragraph 3, page 39.
Yep.
170. And he took himself what the other left, which were the lower grounds at the foot of the mountains. And he himself dwelt in Hebron, which is a city 7 years more ancient than Tanis of Egypt. But Lot possessed the land of the plain and the river Jordan, not far from the city of Sodom.
Again, we're just revisiting the story again. Lot chose the plain that wasn't far from the city, but he wasn't in the city at the time. All right, and we explained what was going on in the city. We explained the mentality that could have been in the city and why a righteous man, it wouldn't make sense for a righteous man trying to restart and rebuild his family to put himself in the heart of that wickedness, to put himself in that school system, to put his wife around that lifestyle, to put himself around that lifestyle. Again, we as individuals born in wickedness, we don't have a choice. He had a choice, and he could have avoided it, and he decided not to. So, is it a surprise when the household developed unpiousness? It is a surprise when the wife had an unusual attachment to sentimental, materialistic things. What did the world have? The same thought process. So, now let's keep reading.
But Lot possessed the land of the plain and the river Jordan, not far from the city of Sodom, which was then a fine city.
Yep.
But is now destroyed by the will and wrath of the Most High, the cause of which I shall show in its proper place hereafter.
All right, now give me chapter 9, the first complete sentence. It should end at youth.
Khan, line 171, beginning of 9. At this time, when the Assyrians had the dominion over Asia, the people of Sodom were in a flourishing condition.
The people of Sodom were flourishing. Read.
Both as to riches and the number of their youth.
The city was bumping. It was
Bumping.
it was bumping. It was the lifestyle. It was the issue.
Lifestyle.
Versus living in the plains and the bunions and the bunkins. I don't know.
Booties.
The boonies. Live on the outskirts.
3 rivers.
While everyone else was partying. It almost is similar to when we got out of Egypt and we were camped outside and we were seeing the parties in the mansions.
Yeah, the mansions, yeah.
They said the parties, they had the mansions. We were over just doing our sacrifices every day, going through the routine, and we're like, man, they're living their life over there. You can imagine being across the riverbank and you're seeing the city turn up all the time. It's always hot. So let's just keep that in mind. The city was prosperous. It was rich. It was the it factor. It was the spot. So for commerce, for lifestyle, for for anything, that was where you wanted to be. But they were wicked. They were extremely wicked. Now let's go into the scriptures, because remember, Lot was on the outskirts. Let's go to the next chapter, Genesis 14. We're going to Genesis 14.
You holding this?
No,
Okay.
we'll get back to that later. Genesis 14 and verse 12. Genesis 14 and verse 12.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 12.
Yep.
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods.
Wait, hold on, what? They said they what?
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
So let's give a little backdrop. The beginning of verse 14, that same city that was prosperous, right? They were under, they were being taxed. The 5 kings in Sodom were being taxed by I believe it was the Assyrians. The Assyrians were taxing them. As long as you pay your taxes, we'll leave you alone, Sodom. The Sodom and Gomorrahites didn't want to pay tax anymore. The Assyrians came down for war. The Sodom and Gomorrahites lost that battle, and somehow, some way, Lot was in the kingdom of Sodom, in the land of Sodom, got captured with them. That doesn't make any sense. He was just living in the plain. He was just living on the outskirts. He abstained from that wickedness. Why is he now being engrafted in the same manner with the Sodomites? That's the question. Let that go. We're going to come back to that later. Give me Isaiah 8 and verse 11 through 12. We're going to run through these next couple verses. And someone else give me Ecclesiasticus 7 and verse 16.
All right.
So now we know Lot has got captured. We don't know how this happened. We don't know why he got captured. But he went from living outside the plains, all of a sudden he's a captive. He's a war captive. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 16.
Isaiah
You want Isaiah?
I mean, my fault. Isaiah 8 and verse 11 to 12.
God. Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 11.
Yep.
For the Most High spake thus to me with a strong hand, and it instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people.
This is the Most High always operates with us. We have to be different. We have to be distinct. Don't walk in the same way or the same manner as the people around you. Don't invoke yourself with the wickedness of the people around you. Read on.
Right. Saying, say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy.
Don't make a league or an agreement with these wicked individuals. Lot, why are you in the city? Did you make an agreement or a league with these wicked individuals? That's the question. Why are you now being invoked in captivity with the same individuals that had nothing to do with you just moments before? He says, don't make a confederacy to them. Let's say a confederacy. Read it. Read.
Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid.
Don't fear their fear. Don't be afraid. Don't take on their morality. Don't take on their customs and their belief systems. That's the warning of the Most High. Let that go. Give me Ecclesiasticus 7 and verse 16.
God. Ecclesiasticus chapter 7 verse 16. Number not thyself among the multitude of sinners.
Don't number yourselves. Don't be counted amongst the multitude of sinners. Read.
But remember that wrath will not tarry long.
Even if you're a righteous man, even if your intentions weren't wicked, you put yourself in covenant and in agreement with these individuals, so now you have to suffer the fate of these individuals. And this is what was happening with Lot. We put ourselves in agreement with wicked individuals, and we wonder why we get caught up in the same filth. We wonder why we get caught up in the same temptation. We wonder why we get caught up in the same lifestyle path. When we didn't start off that way. When we didn't originally share the same belief systems. But just being around a temptation slowly broke down our morality compass. Slowly broke down what we valued as sanctified or not.
That's guilty by association.
Guilty by association, yes. Right place or
wrong
place, wrong time.
Yeah.
All that.
Right place, wrong time.
Yeah, right. Well, it's still the wrong place. You don't want to be no silent ever.
Yeah.
But wrong place, wrong time. From how it looks like, maybe Lot was just going through the neighborhood. Maybe he was just passing by, trying to get some herbs and got captured. We'll give Lot the benefit of the doubt for now. Let's get Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 20. But however it is, the Most High stung him along with the wicked.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 20.
Read that.
For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not.
And this is why I wanted to bring this out. Because yes, Lot was righteous according to the scriptures. And we're not taking that away from him. It's not like he was actively doing idolatry and committing atrocities. But the duality in Lot and his inability to see that the environment he was putting himself and his family around was corrupting them is what we're addressing. The reasoning for why he put himself in that environment is what we're trying to find out. We know the end of the story, which where he was in the city getting pulled out, he getting his life saved. We're trying to figure out how did he get to that point through the 24-year time period. What was going on for him to start outside the city, understanding it was wicked, understanding it's a temptation, understanding if I'm putting myself in this environment, I could be corrupted, or my family could be corrupted, or my piety could be corrupted. That was understood. That was understood at the time. So all of a sudden, he's captured with the Sodom and Gomorrah. How did that happen? He says, "There's no just man, and there's no good man that sinneth not." Let that go. Give me in the same book, Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 8.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 8. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it.
But the Bible also says, if you dig a pit, you're gonna fall into it. You reading?
And whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him.
He had a hedge. That hedge was outside the city. He broke the hedge. Why was he in the city all of a sudden? Are we surprised he got bit? Are we surprised his family got bit? Or we're about to get bit? If you break the hedge, you're asking for a consequence. although you had good intentions, you're asking for bad to happen. You're asking for the Most High, because what you're doing is you're tempting the Most High. I'm tempting the Lord by making this active decision. I'm tempting the Lord by putting myself around these particular people that I know ain't no good for me. I'm tempting the Lord by reconnecting with old temptations, old distractions, old friends, old associates that I know are going to tell me something contrary to the spiritual path. I'm tempting the Lord by playing with the thought processes that I know are not going to get me to prosperity. What you got?
That's crazy because man, mercy season. I had a lot of mercy all my life. That's what my life. And where I'm at right now, I have to go into detail. But breaking that head, I'm feeling it right now. I'm gonna tell y'all guys.
Done. Because the hedge is the protection, it's the security, it's the security, and it's the consistency. Hold
And
this.
the brotherhood.
Hold on. Hold this. Give me Isaiah 32. Give me Isaiah 32. This is all, of course, but it's not because the brother brought up a good point.
Isaiah 32.
Isaiah 32, and give me 17 and 18.
Isaiah chapter 32, verse 17. And the work of righteousness shall be peace.
The work of righteousness shall be peace. Read.
And the effect.
But there's an effect. There's two different aspects to this. If I'm working in righteousness, I have peace while I'm doing what I'm doing. But the effect or the result is what?
And the effect of righteousness, quietness.
Quietness. And what?
And assurance forever.
Read that again.
The whole verse?
Yeah.
And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness, and assurance forever.
So if that's the case, why would I ever break a hedge? Why would I break a hedge if I know the effect of righteousness is everything I want in my life anyway?
Because you love
Quietness, and assurance. You know what that means? Stability, consistency, predictability. You know where a lot of our households go wrong? A lot of the fights start. A lot of the arguments start. It's boring.
Yeah.
Come on. What does assurance and consistency and predictability mean? That's boring.
Yeah.
That's not vacation.
It's the complete opposite.
That's not a change. I need some inconsistency in my life to keep this spark going. Because if I don't have a spark, I feel unhappy. I feel uncontent now. So why would someone break the hedge? Get me out of the hedge. I need freedom. The hedge, which was the work of righteousness, so when you're working in righteousness, you're disciplined. You're structured. And that righteousness brings you the peace. It gives you quietness. It gives you assurance. But when we break the hedge, we're trying to get out of that quietness and assurance. We're trying to get out of that stability. We need a change in our environment. I need a change in my lifestyle. Because this level of spiritual consistency is too much for me. I'm used to the chaotic world around me. I'm used to the environment where things is changing. Life is changing. Like every couple of months, I'm in a new circumstance. I'm in a new job. I'm in a new environment, a new city. I want a new girl. I want a new guy. I need something different because this stability is too much for me. Why do you think the highest divorce rate was in the first 2 years? Because what people don't like is consistency. Because once you lose the cupcake phase of life, the excitement of the new dating, like friends, when you're dating, you knew, it's exciting. You get to hold hands. When you hold hands, it makes your heart go like this. It's so fun. It's a new person you get to know. The conversations are light. You get to try new things together. You get to learn about each other's likes and dislikes, and that is fun. that lasts for 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years. That's the cupcake phase. But after that, when you get to the nitty gritty of life and the consistency of life, all of a sudden the spark changes. Now it's work to maintain a relationship. Now it's no longer just excitement and fun. It's I gotta be constantly working to keep this relationship going. Because if I stop working on this relationship, it's going to fall apart. If I stop trying to be with this person, it's gonna fall apart. If I stop wanting to love this person, it's gonna fall apart. But before it was easy. When you were new and the emotion was fresh, it was easy. Same thing when you go to a new job. You go to a new job, it's interesting, it's fun, it's exciting, you're learning new things, you're doing this and that. And after you get comfortable and used to it, I don't want to be here no more. I'm done. You go to a new city, it's exciting, it's fun, there's lights, there's adventures, let's go downtown, let's try this amusement park, let's go to this event park. After you get done knowing the new city, it's boring. What does that show about us? We're always chasing the next, what? Emotional high, rush, fun, challenge. But that's not what the Most High promised us. He says, if you live after righteousness, the work of righteousness shall be peace. That's what you said you wanted. Or that's what you should want at least. Peace. Then, the effect of it is quietness and assurance forever. Read on. Verse 18.
Verse 18. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation and in sure dwellings.
What does sure dwellings mean? Consistency. I'm with the same person every day. It's the same schedule every day. It's the same lifestyle every single day. It's so predictable. You know what the next week looks like.
That's why couples say when they go on dates or when they do things, they say let's be spontaneous.
What does that even mean?
Let's go do.
How many new restaurants can you go to be spontaneous? After you've gone through all the new pan restaurants, the bread restaurants, after you've gone and tried all the new dessert restaurants, after you've walked through Riverwalk 5 times, what else can you do? Let's go to Austin now. Let's go to 6th Street. After you've done the 6th Street, now you got to make some real decisions. All that's left, you can drive 5 hours to Dallas, see what that's like. Or we can go 3 hours to Houston.
San Pedro.
You can't go west. Ain't nothing Del Rio. And there's nothing south. So you don't want to go there. So either go up north to Austin or even further north to Dallas or go to Houston and have a good time.
We could go to Mexico.
Yeah.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
Or San Pedro.
You go to Mexico too. But what am I saying? You can do all that, but there's no end to that. And you can't keep doing that if you're trying to live righteous. Because the word righteous is what? Consistency. It's a schedule. You only have so many vacation times a year. You only have so much free time a year when you're trying to be spiritual.
They don't like that.
How many times in the Old Testament did the Israelites have vacation time? When righteous Israelites, I'm not talking about the wicked ones, which is traveling because they're freelancing out there. I'm talking about the righteous Israelites who had a schedule. They had to be in class once a week. They had to get their offering every week for their sin offering. You can't be in Mexico, right? If you give a sin offering in San Antonio every week.
No passports. No real IDs.
I can't go to Cuba if I gotta get my sacrifice that next week. I got ceremony next week. I gotta teach next week. I can't be gone for 2-3 weeks and have a vacation.
You got responsibilities.
Yeah.
You got responsibilities.
They didn't have the modes of travel back then in an airplane to get there fast. They were on horseback.
But even if you did, look, how fun a vacation is 3 days? How fun are 3 day vacations? How much can you really do in 3 days?
Yeah.
You're in a new city, new country. You don't know. 3 days, you ain't getting nothing out of it, bro. Being there for at least a week, it's like,
Right.
you missed out. One, we ain't got the money for all that. And two, we got responsibilities out here. I can't blow 2 weeks to a month just living my life
Right.
and doing me. What is that saying? The benefits of being spiritual, you shall dwell in a peaceful habitation. There's no threats. There's no dangers. The Most High is going to protect you. In a sure dwelling and in quiet resting places. Hold on. This was the benefit that you were going to be promised. But why do men still want to break the hedge? What you got?
Because our minds are not stayed on the Most High. Because if our minds were stayed on the Most High, that's when, like Isaiah said, He's going to give us that peace.
Exactly.
He will give us that perfect peace.
When I forget the Most High or the purpose behind what I'm doing, and I make it about me. If I make it about me, now this isn't the focus, or rather, I want this and I want my cake too. I want the effective righteousness, but I want to live for me.
Which is selfish based.
You can talk, just make it on top.
Crazy because your dad broke down about how we don't appreciate peace and quiet place.
Come.
I'm living it right now.
Come.
I'm actually living how peace. Only thing I want right now, I don't care. Peace and quiet place. And where I'm sleeping at is not quiet.
And that's the point. But
It's
you know
not
what?
quiet out
A lot of us are living in environments that aren't quiet and peaceful. Even in your own household. You got a house not living out the righteousness because everybody wants to break the hedge in their house. Guess what? There's argument. Is that peace, that quiet habitation?
Nope.
Is that a shared dwelling place?
Nope.
How about the kids? The kids got to hear the quiet, the arguing, the yelling, and the cussing each other out and calling each other ridiculous names,
Yep.
calling each other out of their name.
It's a war every day.
It's a war. Now the kids are watching this interaction. Is that a sure environment for a kid to grow up in? So what are they going to be doing with their spouses when they get older?
Same thing, bro.
So now every environment, generation to generation, we're passing on curses because none of us are walking in the work of righteousness. So what are we trying to do? Break the hedge. I don't like the hedge I got over me. I don't like the fence that's put over me. I don't like the restrictions that are now put over me. So now me rebelling in the restrictions, now I lost peaceful habitation. I lost the comfort of an understanding husband. The comfort of an understanding wife. I lost peace in my house. I lost surety in my house. Because I made it about me now. I know this is a little bit off topic. We're not talking about Lot anymore. We will get back into it. But look at the mentality. Why was Lot captured? Why was Lot in Sodom? Why break the hedge? You had the protection. You had the protection. You had the surety, but you chose to be in an environment that now has you at risk. So, let's find out why Lot did it. Let's read, Karai, give me, you can sit that down, buddy. Give me the Antiquities of the Jew, Book 1, Chapter 9, paragraph, Book 1, Chapter 9, and then, yeah, there's only one. I'm trying to figure out how much I want to read of this. Let's read line 175. I don't need to read this whole thing.
Time. Antiquity of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 9, line 175.
So now we're going to get the answer on why Lot was in the city in the first place. All right? Remember, the Sodomites rebelled. They stopped wanting to pay their taxes. They went to war with the Assyrians. And they were getting their tail kicked. So, line 175.
Come. Page 39. However, concerning this lake, we shall speak more presently. Now when the Sodomites joined battle with the Assyrians, and the fight was very obstinate, many of them were killed.
This fight was not going anywhere. Obstinate means it was difficult, it was dragging on, it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't going in the right direction. Get on?
And the rest were carried captive, among which captives was Lot, who had come to assist the Sodomites.
He did what?
He assisted the Sodomites.
Why? Why did Lot go to war for the Sodomites?
Dang, that's crazy, bro.
What was Lot thinking? Why am I aligning myself, putting myself in a covenant with these wicked individuals? Is it a surprise when he broke that hedge, he got bit? Ecclesiastes 12.
This shows you that Lot was going against the judgment that the Most High was putting upon the
On Sodom and Gomorrah.
On that time, he got in the way of the judgment.
But that should have been a warning. The kidnapping is a warning, first and foremost. How about that? The kidnapping was a warning. We'll get there in a second.
coming out of the south.
Ecclesiastes 12, in verse 13 through 14.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? Or any such as come nigh wild beasts?
Now, who's going to pity Lot for making that decision? You broke the hedge, Lot. What are you doing? Did you get counsel with Abraham on that move? Let me go to war with these sodomites. What are you doing? That was not wisdom. Who's going to pity him for that? Read on.
14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity?
There it is. Come on now. So the one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Who's going to pity the fact that you got caught up in their punishment? When you purposely aligned yourself with them. You aligned yourself with this wicked nation. Why? The Bible doesn't give us a specific answer. We can only hypothesize. And I'm not going to do it too much because I don't want to add anything to the scriptures. But the city was prosperous. The city was flourishing. Lot, maybe. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to do business by yourself. Who knows?
He probably had investments involved within that city.
Why else go to war for a city if you have nothing invested in the city?
One can speculate, right?
Why go so hard for a city? You're risking your manservants and your life for a country that's wicked. What are you doing? What did you have invested that you're going to put so much on the line for? So, let's go back to Genesis 14 and verse 12 through 16. Genesis 14, verse 12 through 16.
And also, too, his daughters were aligned with.
Hold on, man. That's chapter 19, man. What's story time right now? Story time. I'm trying to build it up, bro.
Sorry, man.
Some people never heard this before. This is the first time they're hearing this story. You got to build a story up. Our storytelling. All right. Genesis 14 and verse 12 through 16.
Genesis chapter 14 and verse 12. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram.
So Abraham got 3 of his boys that live outside the city. Read on.
Verse 14. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan.
Now this makes sense why you arm your servants and put your house online. You're going to war for your family. You're going to war for your livelihood. Yeah. You're going to war for your kinfolk. I get why Abraham's going to war for them and taking out these obstinate nations. He ain't doing it for Sodom and Gomorrah. He's doing it for his brother, his nephew.
Out of love.
The love. Read on.
Verse 14. No, we are from
15.
Verse 15. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them.
Bro, hey, Abraham's like 75 out. Abraham's 75 out. He's putting in work right now. Hey, bro.
He's like Denzel off of Equalizer.
Yeah, bro. He putting in work out. Brother, that's real. Read on.
And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people.
So the Most High backed Abram, he backed Abraham, and allowed him to get all the goods, all the kinfolk, and Lot back in their whole possession. Now anybody in this circumstance, this is how you should look at it. That was a close one. If I'm Lot, I'm like, that was a close one. Maybe that was a sign. Maybe I should not align myself in confederacy with these sodomites. Because the one time I do, I get captured. It's like the one time you hang out with that group of friends you shouldn't hang out with, then the cops roll up on you and bust y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody's in cuffs. Everybody's getting interrogated.
Everybody getting
The party got shot up, or the party's now surrounded by the feds. You just made that one decision. I'm gonna go out with y'all one time. That one time you go out, all hell breaks loose. That's a warning. You got out of it. You got out of it unscathed.
Or somebody gets shot and killed at the party.
Like I said, that's even worse. That's even more of a real warning. Let me not do that again. Let me not put myself in that environment again. So, let's look at the state of the Sodomites after the circumstance. So they won the war because Abraham got all the goods back. We're going to skip chapters here because Lot's not talked about again until chapter 19. So from 15 to 18, it's now about Abraham and Sarai, and how now Sarai has her first son, Ishmael, for 14 years. And then,
it was Hagar. Hagar the servant.
Yeah, that's right. Hagar. And then, 10 years after that, let me see. Because I got to make sure that the timing was correct. So it says, give me Josephus, Tears of the Jews, chapter 11.1. I'm going to find this point that I was looking for.
Chapter 11. This
Chapter 11.1.
book, what book?
Oh, book 1, chapter 11.
Book 1, chapter 11. Come.
My fault.
Book 1, chapter 11. Right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Book 1, chapter 11, paragraph 1. About this time, the Sodomites grew proud on account of their riches and great wealth. They became unjust toward men and impious towards the Most High, insomuch that they did not call to mind the advantages they received from him. They hated strangers and abused themselves with some sodomitical practices.
Yeah.
Most High was therefore much displeased at them and determined to punish them for their pride and to overthrow their city and to lay waste their country until there should neither plant nor fruit grow out of it.
Okay. So, this people was getting even worse than what they were before Abraham intervened. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show there was a distance of time between when Abraham and Lot left, not Canaan, they left the Chaldees, to the time when Lot or Sodom got destroyed. So the first thing I want to do is, this is kind of off script, but I wanted to prove it, so I kept saying the number 24. 75. Okay. It says, give me Genesis 12 and verse 4 real quick.
4.
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 12 and verse 4. So Abram departed as the Most High had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed.
So, remember, chapter 13 is when they split up. So shortly after they left Haran, they ended up. Now go to chapter 13 and go to 12 again.
Genesis chapter 13 and verse 12. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom.
So, that's important because right after they left Haran, shortly after they split up, they went one direction to another direction. Now someone give me Genesis 16 and verse 16.
Genesis 16:16. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram.
So now we're looking at a continuation of time, so to speak, or a what's the word of it? A fast forwarding of time. So I'm looking for. We're looking at a fast forwarding of time. This is Genesis 16. Abram is now 86 years old. So how many years is that? That's about 11 years. 75 to 86. It's 11 years.
11.
So 11 years after that, Ishmael is now born. Now we're at chapter. Let's go to chapter. Chapter 18. I'm gonna take my time to explain this because I didn't want to just throw a number out there and not explain. There was a time lapse. Give me Genesis chapter 18 and verse 10.
Genesis chapter 18 and verse 10. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee.
Hold on. Even better. Give me verse 24. Give me Genesis chapter 17 and verse 24.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 24. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9.
So now Abraham is 99 years old. Read on.
It says, and Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin.
So what does that mean? From the time that Abraham and Lot departed out of Haran, shortly after that, they divided directions. Abraham went to Canaan. Lot went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Between 75 years old and 99 years old, that's how many years? It's about 24 years. Why is that important? Because during that 24-year time, we're getting a development in Sodom. First, we found out that Lot had been in agreements, been in covenant, been at war for Sodom and Gomorrah in his early years. Now we're going to see how Lot transitioned later on, 20-some years later, and where his position was at in Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why I wanted to kind of focus on this, to prove there was a period of time, there was a 24-year gap from 75 to 99 years old of Abraham. Because by the time Sodom and Gomorrah was falling, Sarah was about to be pregnant with Isaac. All right, so now let's get back into the story. So let's go into Genesis 18, verse 17 through 21. Yes, sir.
Genesis chapter 18 and verse 17. And the Most High said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Most High, to do justice and judgment, that the Most High may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. And the Most High said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come unto me. And if not, I will know.
He says, I got to go and check now to see if what they're doing is legitimate or not. Because if it is, I'm wiping them out. That was the testament, or that was what the Most High was planning to do. Now, when you read down, I don't have the time anymore, but when you read down the rest of this chapter, Abraham was fervently protesting on behalf of Sodom and Gomorrah. He was fervently asking, Lord, if there's 50 righteous, will you spare them? It said, even if there's less, if there's 45 righteous, would you spare them? If there's 20 righteous, would you spare them? If there's 10 righteous, would you spare the entire city? And Moses said, if there's 10 righteous, I'll spare the entire city. Why was he protesting so hard? What was in Sodom and Gomorrah that caused Abraham to panic when he realized Moses was about to smite the entire country. Let's go to chapter 19 and verse 1.
Genesis chapter 19 and verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom.
Hold on. Why was Lot at the gate of Sodom and Gomorrah? What does that mean?
I mean, he was an elder.
There you go.
Because the elder sat at the gate.
That's the point. Why was Lot an elder of this wicked city that he despised so much? If you're at the gate, that means you're trusted with the lives of all that are inside the gate.
Yeah.
That means your discernment is trusted. Because your job is to be a watchman of any threat that's coming in and out of the city. He was now an elder at the gates, at Sodom and Gomorrah. During this 24-year time, this righteous man, for whatever reason, decided this was the place to set his roots down. This was the place to establish his legacy. Let's read on.
And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly. And they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made him a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
So there was a reason why Lot was so adamant about getting these angels inside the house and making sure they were in the quarters of the house. Because he understood the character and the mindset of these wicked individuals that he had been living amongst. He understood, if I have these young men out here, remember, we read in Josephus, they were especially unkind and unjust to strangers. It says that they hated strangers and abused themselves with them with sodomitical practices. So their whole idea is, if you're a stranger, I gotta have you. If you're a stranger, I need that. That was their thought process. You new, you fresh.
Also too, right?
I was thinking about the warrior.
Yeah.
So I like you and I want you. There's the easy way and the hard way. The choice is
That's a
yours.
whole kind of checking in.
That's a real check-in. These young men ain't checked in yet. Lot, open up.
I don't know if you went into the form and how the angels look.
No, I mean, he's gonna say it. I believe the scripture says it. It's gonna say that they're beautiful young men. I mean, they were good-looking young men, but the point remains, they had a habit. This was a custom. So think about this. Lot sitting at the gate. Every time he's at the gate and he sees these new travelers come in, he knows about to happen. He knows if new people come in the city, it's gonna get bad for them real quick. Now I don't know if he warned them, hey, find the end real quick, or don't come in the city. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say one thing or another. But what I do know is he knew the customs very well. He knew the customs very, very well, and he hated them. We're not gonna take away from the fact he hated it, but he kept himself in that environment. He kept himself in that culture. That's what is not understood. Why did he keep himself in that culture if it was that wicked, that foul, that disgusting? What are you doing? What were you benefiting? What you got?
Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is when Lot was in the city of Sodom, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be the strong will that there was only 8 people that survived in the Most High scene that was his test?
Only 3 that survived. Only 3 made it out. 4 attempted to leave. 3 made it out.
And it was Lot.
Lot and his 2 daughters, his wife, got turned the pillar of salt.
Wouldn't that be a test like all the other prophets would be? Like Abraham and all that, like he was the only one to repopulate the world again. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Well, so you're asking, me, wouldn't it have been a test?
He went through this. He went through it, and not without the Sodomite. He was not a Sodomite. The Most High got him through all of that.
That's why we're not taking away from the fact that he was a righteous man. Remember, he imitated Abraham. So he had morality to him. We're not going to take away from the fact that he had some spiritual morality. What we're saying is, you put yourself in that environment, the people around you might not be as strong as you are.
Yep.
So because they're not as strong as you are, you're setting them up for failure.
Yep.
Because we're going to find out, his daughters were married to these type of guys. That's not your family.
Abraham wouldn't have did that. That's the point.
What you got?
Abraham wouldn't have did
I
that.
was just thinking about what you're saying. I was like, you're looking at that. I'm looking at it from that side of how long you were there.
Yeah.
And how strong that influence was. Like you're saying, you watching come in.
Yeah.
How invested do you really have to be in it for them not to do anything?
Like I said, I'm not speculating. But I will say this. He was respected. Now, maybe he was protected by the kings. Remember, there was kings there. Maybe his family was protected by the kings and in prestige because of the ties to Abraham. That could have been a possibility. Remember, Abraham saved their lives.
Right.
Abraham got them back their riches. Actually, helped them get richer. When they took out those 5 Assyrian kings, Abraham didn't want any of the riches. So all those riches he gave back to Sodom and Gomorrah. So they got even wealthier. They came out. So there's a strong possibility because of his ties to Abraham, he let them be and gave them esteem and rank in the community. That won't change the fact that you're seeing this wicked day by day. Yes, we get you're disgusted with the wickedness, but you're staying in the environment. You're giving your daughters to these people. Like my Willis said, Abraham wouldn't have done that. Abraham told his son Isaac, you ain't marrying these people. You need to go somewhere else. You need to go back to my kinfolk. You are not getting tied up with these people, these individuals.
I'm gonna go send one of my servants to go scout.
Go scout for
Who you gonna
I
marry?
can't stand these people. If you can't stand them, you want them in your house? You want their families tied with your family? That's the point where it doesn't make any sense. You're an elder in the city. You're watching all of this happen, and nothing is stopping.
Yep.
You have no influence. Hey, this is wicked. And the one time you try to stop it, it's too late, but the entire city surrounded you.
And you allowing other strangers to get in danger
That's
when
right.
they get inside the city.
But that's what I'm saying. You're seeing all this wickedness happen. You're a guard. You're an elder of the city. You're seeing it happen for years, decades even, and nothing is stopping it. They said going back. It says they hated strangers and abused themselves with strangers. That was their custom. You're seeing this and you're not saying anything about it. So, why do you think they didn't respect him? When Lot said, "Hey, don't do this thing." But you know that's how we operate. Lot, why are you being different? Why are you changing up all of a sudden? You didn't say nothing before.
and also too, when it talked about those angels being young boys. It also showed that what lust that they were tapping into. They were into young boys.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Remember, that's why we went to Wisdom of Solomon 2. Because Wisdom of Solomon 2 says, "Don't let anything pass by from us." That thought process, it's anything and everything.
Anything free game.
But that's what we live in now. It's anything and everything. They just try to spice it up with different words, so it's not as bad. See, if you say it this way, scholastically, it doesn't sound as bad. Why do you think they're pushing? Like I said, I can't go into too heavy because we might get banned on it. But why do you think they're pushing certain programs for young children? The faster we tell you can make decisions with your own body, the faster you can deal with grown adults.
Yep.
If I can make a decision to change my sexual orientation, then I can make a decision on who I deal with.
Or change the pronouns and be like, "Hey, I'm a kid."
Or change the that's the other one.
That's the angle.
Yeah. That's the confusion. You blur the line so much that now, what's right and what's wrong? How do you decide what's right and what's wrong morally? You can't. So we're dealing with Sodom, The Sodomites, all the men, young and old, everybody wants this. Everybody wants to
Everybody
the party.
wants this.
Everyone's knocking on the door. Let me in.
They
So now-
banging on the door.
They're banging on the door.
I wanted to say something on the duration of Lot's, stay there.
Yeah.
It said that they became unjust toward the men and impious toward the Most High. So they
Got
were pious at one time, right? So they weren't always unrighteous.
I'll say this. We can't say they were pious. Remember, the Most High, He spares nations based off of their level of filth. Right? When you read the Wisdom of Solomon or 2 Maccabees 6, He'll spare a nation until the filth gets to their nostrils. Remember, that's why He said, go back to Genesis 18 and read
17.
No, read verse 20 and 21.
Okay. Genesis chapter 18, verse 20. And the Most High said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come unto me, and if not, I will know.
What do you think the cry was?
Prayer?
No.
Okay.
It was the abuse that was happening in the cities.
Mm.
The abuse was so much that the Most High is not answering prayers of the nations. The abuse was at such a high level that now the Most High has to send His angels to see if this is real or not, of what's happened is legit. So were they were pious? Now let's go back even further. Let's go to Genesis 13 and verse 13.
Right.
Because remember, no one in the world is pious at this point. We're still in the time of Abraham, right? Piety is, I'm dedicated to Most High. That's why I wanted to stop, because when he's talking about impiety, it's talking about the level of wickedness. There's levels of wickedness that Most High will let happen for a longer period of time before He decides to wipe out an entire nation. Nations do wickedness all the time. Most nations, if not all the nations, aren't spiritual. But when you get to a certain level of wickedness, when now the Most High is hearing these prayers, hearing these cries, these afflictions, now He has to do something about it. Give me Genesis 13:13 real quick.
Genesis chapter 13 and verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Most High exceedingly.
So they were always wicked. They were always sinners in front of the Most High. And that's why initially Lot was outside the city. And that's why they were getting stung by the Assyrians. Most High was already stinging these Sodomites. They were warning shots. Change. Lot being a part of that family, or Lot being in the city, him getting captured, should have been a warning. Hey, I should not align myself with these people, because the Most High is tagging them, but he missed that call. He missed that message. So now we're sitting here in Genesis 19, where the cry of the abuse was so much that the Most High sends His angels down there to scope it out in person. And they're that bold to where, again, the entire city from every corner of the city is going to this one house. You know what that means? This was tradition. This was tradition. This was a mob. This was a custom. It's like in New York, when it's Christmas time and all the city comes out to see the big Christmas tree. And it's like, it's millions of people on the street.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tradition. This was a tradition.
Or when the ball dropped in New Year.
When the ball drops and everyone's out there, that's the type of mob spirit that's going on. There's some new flesh, there's some new men in town. All right, y'all know what it is. Everyone out the house. Got to introduce ourselves. That is one hell of a neighbor greeting. This is the wickedness that's going on at the time. So now give me back in verse 5.
Genesis chapter 19 and verse
I'm
5.
not gonna get all this down, bro.
And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
I knew you.
We need them now. Right now. Read it on.
Bring them out unto us.
I'm trying to get to know them. Read on.
That we may know them.
Oh my gosh.
And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes.
That's not cool either. Set my daughters up. Hey, you know what? Some gotta go. It ain't gonna be me. They didn't want that choice. That's not what they wanted. Read on.
Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof, and they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them.
Oh my gosh. He said, if you don't give us him or the men, we're gonna deal with you, Lot. And waiting on you now. Remember, this was the same thing we ran with in Solomon 2. The wicked are waiting to test the righteous. They're waiting to take you down. They're looking for the occasion. Now Lot's in a predicament. They didn't want the women that are in the house. They didn't want the young daughters. Now, if you don't give them these men, they want you. That's a problem. But you chose this city. You chose this lifestyle. You knew the risk. You knew their customs. You knew how they were operating. What you got?
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, when it says you can't find a righteous person, but my question is, there not one man in that city who said, I don't play this, I will fight you all, but they all was with it.
I'm gonna say this. It says young and old from every quarter.
Yeah.
Huh?
It says every man, young and old, from every quarter of the city.
Yeah.
Brother, this is a big city.
Yeah.
Let's say there's only 100,000 people in the city. 100,000 men surrounding your house? Come on, bro.
You went to the verse to prove when Abraham was trying to advocate for Sodom and Gomorrah, and he was like, please, Lord, if there be 40, if there be however much people in the land that's righteous, spare the land. He said he couldn't find none in the land that was righteous. So that lets you know it lets you know how the city was, if there was righteousness in it or not.
Because remember, they had 5 kings governing the city. How many people you got to have in a city where you need 5 governors? 5 governors? Brother, you're seeing at least 100,000. At least 50,000 men come to their house. Even if it's only 300 men. That's 300 men. Come on, bro. Look at what's going on here. There's a real threat here. It's a real problem. If you don't give us these men, we're getting you. And we're going to do worse with you than we're going to do with them. That's horrible. You sat here and built 20 years of trust in these individuals. 20 years of helping, judgment, of leadership, protection, and they're about to take you down like that?
Yeah.
Brother, if that's not a curse, I don't know what is.
And also, too, what's the crazy part is Abraham helped them out by getting them rich. And they still don't see the good that Lot brought to them. Well, it still was crossing.
That's 20 years. That's 20 years later now. Look, all that Abraham don't matter no more. It's about me and mine. You know our custom. The thing is this. It goes back to what you've accepted so far. Because that's what the moral of the story is. What did Lot allow himself to be around to where now things around him are falling apart the way they are? I accepted this type of circumstance for 20-some years. I aligned myself and made an affinity with these people for this many decades. Why am I surprised they're this wicked? Why am I surprised that they're turning on me? We know how they are. I bet you no one told them no. I bet you the entire time they've been in that city, they had never been turned down. Like the warrior. They were never told no. So now this Lot guy is saying no. We gonna handle you, dog. This ain't no game over here. This is a city affair. It's a city affair. What's crazy is you still gave your daughters to these type of dudes. That don't make any sense. Let's keep reading.
Verse 9, Genesis 19 and verse 9. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee.
What's happening is they're now describing Lot's point of getting here. So this man came over here to sojourn. He came over here to live, and then he became a judge. They're describing his history. Oh, we know you, Lot. Yeah, you came over here a couple years ago to hang with us, and then you became a judge in our city, and now you telling us we can't have none? Oh no, that ain't going. Read on.
Now we will deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot.
They're talking about Lot. I remember this guy. This is that righteous guy. Remember, I'm reading again. Wisdom of Solomon 2 and verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. He is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with offending the law, and objected to our infamy, the transgression of our education. They're waiting to take advantage of you. They're waiting to destroy you for your righteousness, your cleanliness, because your cleanliness makes them feel dirty. Your cleanliness makes them feel like they're doing something wrong with their life. So now I've got an opportunity to now take you out, Mr. Righteous Judge Lot. Now I'm going to get you. Read on.
It says, and they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they were wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters? And whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
So now the angels have seen enough. They've seen that at this point in time, there's no saving this. There's no saving this country. We gotta get rid of it. If you got sons and daughters and son-in-laws, get them out of here, and we gotta go. Read on.
Verse 13. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Most High. And the Most High has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Most High will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
What does that mean? Lot goes to his son-in-law and said, you gotta get up, we gotta get up out of here. The Lord's coming down and destroy the city. And the son-in-law seemed to the son-in-law as one that mocked him.
He scoffed him.
So I'm going to read this in Josephus. We're going to go there. But it's the Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 11. And it's going to be paragraph 4. I'm just going to read it. It says, but Lot, upon God's informing him of the future destruction of the Sodomites, went away, taking with him his wife, his daughters, who were 2, and still virgins. For those that were betrothed to them were above the thoughts of going, and deemed that Lot's words were trifling. Man, light. It was light. It was a joke. Who do you think you are? Who's this God that's going to destroy the entire country?
They were
mocking Lot.
Scoff.
But you gave your daughters to these impious individuals. You constantly gave your daughters to them. Mm-hmm. Why? We're not taking away from the fact that Lot himself was spiritual and virtuous. Yeah. But why are you aligning yourself with all this negativity and expecting not for the people around you to get polluted?
Because the scripture says that it's a weightier matter to give your daughters away.
It is. It's supposed to.
Because you're supposed to be giving your daughters up to a man of understanding, a man
of wisdom and understanding. Why? Because you understand, if he's a man of wisdom and understanding, that your daughters will be protected by way through the righteous man. But if I'm giving my daughters to impious men who will take the Most High lightly, take his warnings lightly, and even make fun of it, then why are you surprised that when it's time to actually be pious, when it's time to actually lock into the Most High's ways, they're thinking you're a joke? This is the understanding part of Lot that doesn't make much sense. This is the duality that we're talking about. It's that same duality that allowed him to stay in this wicked city for 24 years. It's that same duality that allowed him to become an elder in this wicked city for this long period of time. That side of him that he didn't fully finish, or that side of him that he couldn't imitate of Abraham, is what caused the downfall of the people around him. And we're going to kind of explain more of that downfall. We're going to get to the story. So let's keep running. I won't do any extra verses because we're not going to get to the whole story if we do. So we'll just keep finishing through.
Con. Verse 15. Genesis 19 and 15. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered,
What was Lot doing? Look even more at his thought process, his character. He was told, you got to leave now. Why is he still lingering? Why is he there? There's still time to kind of think about how I'm going to do this. You got to go now. Are we surprised the wife had the same mentality?
no,
Not at all, bro. Not at all. That's why the title of the class is called Remembering Lot. Because yes, the wife was a symbol of, when the Most High makes a decision, it's time to go, don't look back. But what trait was she learning from her husband? He had the same hesitancies
That she had.
that she had. It was just on a greater capacity because she was the weaker vessel.
Yeah.
He read. He says, while he lingered,
Con. Verse 16. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. The Most High being merciful unto him.
what did the angels have to do? I got to drag this guy out the house because he doesn't have enough sense of urgency. He doesn't realize this is worse than he thinks. I got to grab him. I got to grab the wife. I got to grab the daughters by their hands. Because if I live up to their intuition and their wisdom, they're going to die with this fire. And I've already decided to spare them for Abraham's sake. So I can't destroy the city until they get out of here. There was hesitancy on the life that Lot had too. Lot had a sentimental attachment. Lot wasn't urgent in getting out of his old lifestyle. He wasn't ready to start the new lifestyle. Starting over again. That's what this exposed to him. He got comfortable in this environment. Although it was wicked, although the people around him getting defiled in it, he was also getting defiled. He didn't even realize it. He was also losing his spiritual fervency. He was losing his spiritual fire. And that's what happens when we allow ourselves to hang around these negative elements. We allow ourselves to be around environments that don't produce spiritual works, spiritual consciousness.
He compromised.
He was compromising. And that compromise is what almost cost him and his entire family his life.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Abraham. So, keep reading.
Con. Verse 16. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Most High being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay down in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now.
Hold on. So the angel said, go to the mountains, because you're going to get hit by this fire if you don't. And Lot, now I was revealing Lot had doubt, which we could already see in the last couple of verses. He had doubt. He was hesitant. He wasn't sure about it. He's now, oh Lord, no, Lord, there's no way I can do that. If I go on these mountains, how do I eat?
That means that spirit jumped on his wife too, because that same spirit that he had. Because the scripture says that a wicked, evil woman is given to a
wicked man.
A wicked man. So that spirit jumped from Lot to his wife.
But what we're going to find out is that spirit went from Lot, his wife, to his daughters. Because the same thought process of, Lord, if I go to these mountains, I'm going to die, is the same thought process in which the daughters stop. We go to these mountains, we're the last people on the earth. There's no more help. There's no more salvation anymore. So we got to procreate with our Father. You see how those thought processes are in the same alignment of faithlessness? I can't just do what the Most High told me to do. No, He's going to take care of me. He's got me this far, but it's the same thought process we had in Egypt.
Yep, because when that event happened, they thought it was the end of the world at that time.
But it's the same thing when we got out of Egypt. When we got out of Egypt, 3 days in, we're like, Lord, we brought out here to die. Why did He save you from Egypt just to die 3 days later from thirst? Why did I save you from Sodom and Gomorrah, from the burning fire, to die in the mountains? That doesn't make any sense. But a faithless person, or a person who had become faithless because he was around faithlessness for so long, would speak like this. Because if he was still Abraham, this wouldn't have been a problem. We already know what Abraham was thinking. He already had seen that Abraham had patience to get his wife back twice, to leave his city and reestablish his lifestyle, and still come out rich and wealthy. He would saw how Abraham would have navigated, but he didn't have Abraham anymore. So because he didn't build his own spiritual integrity, and he was only an imitator, this is as far as his faithfulness could get him.
He saw the power of the Most High work through Abraham.
But he didn't do the works needed to get that spirit to jump on him.
Yep.
So that when it was time to show righteousness, when it was time to execute what he had been practicing, it wasn't there. So let's finish it up. Let's go.
Right.
We have a lot of reading still.
Genesis 19 and 18. And Lot said unto them, O not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die.
That statement doesn't even make any sense. No. You show me mercy to save me out of this wicked city, just for evil to take me in the mountain. What are we talking about?
He has super doubt.
He had a lot of doubt. But are we surprised that his wife had doubt?
That lets you know that the spirit of the Most High was off of him. I know. Because this is the same thing that Adam and Eve went under when they started fearing.
Yeah.
And they were afraid of the Most High God.
Because now I don't have that covering anymore. Because his covering had become Sodom and Gomorrah. Although it was wicked, that city was his covering. That was his protection. Now he's in the city, or he's out of the city. He's like, man, if I don't go to another city, I'm not going to make it no more. I can't go back to the plains. I can't go back to the plains no more. All my goods is gone. Everybody else in the city is gone. What that means also is, remember, he came in with wealth. That wealth is gone too.
Yep.
He didn't have his servants.
He had to leave
no
everything behind.
He didn't have his servants no more. He didn't have all of his tents and his wealth anymore. It was just him and his 3 daughters and his wife. So you're starting to see his mind a little bit more. That doubt was being covered by all the goods he had, the security he had around him. Mm-hmm. Now he doesn't have that security anymore. Now he can't see what the Most High is doing for him. His spiritual awareness has been blinded.
He's becoming unraveled now.
He's becoming unraveled. And this is why now it makes more sense on why his wife thought the way she thought. Why his daughters thought the way she thought. What were they watching this entire time? They were watching faithfulness from him. Well, they've been the daughters. Okay, Dad, if you think these wicked sodomites are going to be great husbands, I guess I'll marry these guys. If that's righteousness, I guess that's righteousness. Okay, husband, if you're hesitating, you're lingering, I guess I'm going to be lingering. Because if you don't have sense of urgency, then why do I got to have sense of urgency? If you don't care, then why do I care? That's what happens in a household.
He was making impulsive decisions.
No, he wasn't making impulsive decisions. He didn't know how to think. He wasn't making any decisions. He was lingering. He was contemplating. He was trying to figure out, how can I come out of this still on top? That's a lingering. It's like, how can I come out of this on top still with the benefits? Wow, getting out of here unscathed.
I say impulsive because when they knocked on his door, the first thing he thought was, okay, I'm gonna give my daughters to these guys without counting the cost.
Yeah,
That's
that's not
impulsive
counsel.
thinking.
Look, bro. You right?
It was like improv.
That wasn't improv. What you got?
He was trying to be prudent. He was
trying to
trying
be prudent.
be real smooth. Like
He's trying to be prudent.
he was. That's what it is, bro.
But you know, it's revealing that prudence that you learn from the world is not the same as wisdom.
No.
Because that rationality is different.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to get as much as we can. We gotta get at least the end of this chapter. So
It's a great story.
it's
bro.
a great one. But I really don't want to finish it.
You brought it out, man.
It's a great. It's a lot. It's a lot of,
Yeah.
of onion we gotta unpeel. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of layers.
Come.
Keep reading.
Come. Genesis chapter 19 and verse 20. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live.
You know what he's saying? Just give me a little comfort, Lord. Just give me a little bit of comfort. If I'm gonna do what I'm told, just give me a little bit of
Brother,
security.
you can't choose what you
Oh,
want to
but
choose.
this is
right?
his
You can't-
thought process.
You can't.
I see a little comfort.
Come on.
Give me a little bit of security, because the security you're telling me, which is just your word, that's not enough. I don't need your word. I need an action. But isn't this how we think? The word is not enough security. The word is saying do this, do that, and you're going to be okay. That's not enough. I need something physical to know that I'm actually secure. I need a physical place, physical environment. I need to see how it's going to work out for me, and then I'll know what you're saying is legit. But I never looked at it from this point of view until I started making this class. I'm like, bro, there's a lot to this man's thinking that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What you got?
We require a sign, man.
But my thing is, you just got the sign.
Yeah. He had.
You got point. Look,
Yeah,
you about
a lot
to
of
get done in
complications.
by hundreds of thousands of men.
Yeah.
Young and old.
Yeah.
Say, if you don't give us these young men, we getting you a lot.
Yeah.
You got to stay out of that. You ain't even seen the destruction yet. You got to stay out of a mass disturbance. And now, you're like, well, Lord, I know you tell me the mountain's going to be safe, but just give me this little city. Come on, bro. That's what I'm saying. He imitated righteousness, and he had understanding of right and wrong. But this level of mentality, we can't keep on us if we want the Most High to back us and justify us. Because this is the real test. Because the real legacy, although we read he was righteous, the real legacy is your daughter slept with you. And your seed came from your daughters. The real legacy is your wife was faithless, and she looked back and turned a pill of salt.
Right.
The real legacy is when the angels came and told you to get out of here, you were still lingering. That's the real stain of his name. That will always be cemented in this book. That's the real legacy. What you got?
So he was lingering for a minute before he ended.
They had to grab this guy out of the house. That was like in the morning for delivery trucks. And you're like, bro, we gotta leave, right? And he's lingering. He's grabbing his things. He's brushing his teeth now. He's putting his pants on. Bro, let me get this guy and get him out of here, bro. If you say any longer, we're gonna be late for the job. That's lingering.
But in this scenario, if you don't get out, you're gonna be dying with these sodomites in the land.
Look, my thing is, why are you lingering when you got sodomites banging your door all night? If I got a way out of here, and the angels is blinding these sodomites, why am I gonna stay here any longer? I gotta get out of here, bro.
And
Anywhere but this place.
And if you don't give them what they want,
They
don't get you.
Yeah, they don't want your daughters. What you got?
You know what it shows that? It shows that the Most High, bro, he is literally strictly by urgency. Like,
I know,
if
bro.
you're not going to be moving on his pace, like, it's over. It's done.
But you know, he got mercy, bro. Because if Abraham wasn't who he was and didn't have a connection with him, it would have been it, bro.
Yeah.
How many times in the story you see where the Most High gives you a one chance, gives you two chances, but we don't perceive, and he's just done with you. He's no, fine, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's how he normally goes. But he got mercy. What you got?
I have a question.
Yes,
It's
sir.
gonna be quick.
Yeah.
Of all the anointed men that the Most High dealt with during those 24 years, Lot, and you say this, Lot populated the world. He's a special man to the Most High. Was the Most High, did he know that the Most High put the Spirit on him not to indulge in that, or he didn't even, was he just a natural man?
Well, let's establish something really quick. Give me Ecclesiastes 41. No, you got. I want to answer that real quick because you say he was a special man, and his story is special for the reason that it's memorable in all these different peels that were unpeeled, right? One, there was only one anointed man at the time, and that was Abraham.
Abraham, yeah.
Right? So when we're talking about righteousness, we're talking about legit righteousness, a friend of the Most High, it was only Abraham. Lot took the imitation of what he saw. Ecclesiastes 41, verse 5 through 6. Lot took the imitation, but he didn't fully encompass what that spirit looked like.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So what your question was what? So say your question.
Yeah. Damn, this is hard. Is there stories where the Most High was coming to him through those 24 years, say, you know, you are, I mean,
Like
was he
warning-
just a
like warning
natural
him?
righteous man? That's what I want to know. Because you said the Most High, the way it sounded like he wasn't with him, like he was with David, talking to David all those years. He was with all these other prophets. But with him, it looked like Solomon was just a natural righteous man.
So you saying Lot?
Yeah,
No, Lot was not a natural. Again, that's what I wanted to point out.
But he didn't.
He
do none of that
imitated.
stuff.
What righteousness was. At that time, remember, righteousness at that time was not being idolater. That was what righteousness was. And that's how you know it was that bad, because the entire world couldn't get over their idolatry. The only man who could was Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Then Abraham, living with Lot learned that level of righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you read in the middle of chapters from 15 to 17, or actually in the same chapter 14, it talks about Melchizedek, the prince of Salem, which was Christ.
Yep.
He taught him even more. He taught Abraham even more laws of how to operate. So he actually gave him even more understanding. He didn't do that with Lot, because, like we said, there was something in Lot that wasn't what was in Abraham. So Lot, although he followed the law of not having other gods, other idols, the sickness in him was not purged out yet.
Right.
Which is why we're seeing the faithlessness now. Which is why we're seeing the hesitancy. Which is not why he's making decisions that don't match what we would consider righteousness today.
He staggered in his pursuit.
He staggered in his pursuit.
He didn't go all the way.
He didn't go all the way, nor did he keep the customs of his father, which was Abraham. He didn't keep the customs of his elder, which was Abraham. So give me that in Ecclesiastes 41, verse 5 through 6. Where we got it?
Ecclesiastes chapter 41, verse 5. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they are that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly.
Mm-hmm.
The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach.
So what this is talking about is, in a sense, because Lot didn't develop his family the correct way, the inheritance of his posterity is a perpetual reproach. Because what's now attached to his posterity forever and ever?
Bad reputation.
Incest.
Yeah, that too. Yep. Yeah, that's major.
That's now attached to his name, his legacy, forever.
Yeah.
Your daughters procreated with you because they thought it was the end of the world and there's no other men in the earth. Let's go prove that real quick, because we're getting up on time right now. So he let them go to Zor. Or go back to Genesis 19. And
Reason 21.
okay. Read verse 21 and 22. And then we're gonna skip down. We're already past 10:30, so I don't want you to go.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. This is the classes ran long. So read verse 21, verse 22, because now we got to bounce around a little bit.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 21. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar.
So the Most High allowed Lot and his skepticism, his faithlessness, to go to this little city named Zoar. Instead of going to the mountain like he originally planned, to go to Zoar. Now, let's jump. We're going to go to verse 30, yeah.
Genesis 19 and verse 30. And Lot went up of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain.
So he ended up leaving Zoar. We got to find out why. Actually, go up a little bit more. No, the same chapter. So, remember, this is the crazy part. He wanted to go to Zoar because he didn't believe if he stayed in the mountains, he would survive. He didn't believe if he stayed in the mountains, he would survive. So the Most High allowed him to go to Zoar. So, okay, I won't destroy this city. I'll leave Zoar for you there. He goes to Zoar. Now we're at verse 30. Read on.
And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar.
What does that even mean? The original plan was to go to the mountain. You wanted to go to Zoar because you thought you'd be more safe at Zoar or more stable. Then you realize, then you ever thought, I'm not safe at Zoar. So let me go back to the original plan, which is go back to the mountain. That's the foolishness of how we think we choose our own path and not follow the original Most High, the path of the Most High. You end up doing what the Most High said anyway. You just went a roundabout way of doing it. Like Jonah did. Exactly.
And when you look up the word Zoar in Hebrew means insignificance.
Insignificant, yeah.
Yeah, so that land that he went to was insignificant or without unimportance.
Meaning the land itself wasn't even big enough or stable enough or fertile enough or prosperous enough to even be considered like a fort.
He downgraded, basically.
Well, but is the downgrade at the point?
Yeah.
It's more for you to say this. You're gonna be more safe here than the mountain when there's an insignificant piece of land with a couple of houses and a couple of cattle here and there. That's what doesn't make any sense. What you got, Brian?
I was gonna say, brother, he was trusting himself the whole time. Whenever the Most High was telling him to go to a certain direction,
I know.
he was like, nah, because he didn't really trust in the Heavenly Father. Right?
That's the point, and that is what I was trying to bring out this entire class, because it also shows, hey, that might have been righteous back in the day.
Yeah.
That's not righteous now. You can't get away with that now. I can't be faithless and be considered righteous anymore. Now we got the law. Now we have testimony. The thing is this, the Most High now gives us testimonies to where you can't have this thought process and think it's going to be justified. That's why in the end time, when you got to sit here and you're getting judged by Christ, he's got the book of life in his hand and your life. Because he's weighing your life based on what the book says. Okay, you know about Lot and his faithfulnesses. Then why did you make a Lot move? Why were you faithless like Lot? Why were you doubting like Lot? Why were you hesitant like Lot? You knew what you should have did. You knew how I didn't like this. You knew how the scripture said this. I didn't like this. That is how we're being judged now. Lot didn't have that, but Lot did have Abram. Lot did have a good example, and he still chose not to follow. So let's finish this. I know we're getting late. Slack you off for having you on here. No, it's not even you. It's just, hey, the spirit's been good. So,
Verse 31.
they're at 31. Let's just finish it out. Let's just run through it.
All right. Genesis 19, verse 31. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go down in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
And that's the legacy of Lot. That's the legacy of living a life of compromising. Living a life where faith isn't important in the house. Living a life and teaching your family that living according to the Most High's way of thinking doesn't matter as long as you have wealth, status, and comfort. Because even in their thinking of the daughters, remember, they just came from Zor. That was still a city.
Yeah.
Why do they think that there's no other man on the earth? You just came from a city. Which means Lot was telling his kids, they about to destroy, the angels about to destroy Zor too. The angel just told you, I won't destroy this city. You're putting this in their head, so now they're making panicky moves. Like my old saying.
Impulsive.
Impulsive moves.
Teaching to be impulsive. Bro.
They're impulsive, they're not spiritual, they're extremely carnal. So now your legacy is staying with this. That's why the class is called Remembering Lot. Remember the faithlessness that caused his entire house to succumb to sin and destruction. Remember the faithlessness that got him in a scenario where he lost everything. Remember, Lot was rich and wealthy too. This is how you know. This is how you know it's distinct from the Most High. He humbled Lot down to his most basic animal life. You end up in a cave. You was living like a prince with Abraham, and all the bad decisions you were making corrected your life. Now you're living in a cave with incestual daughters. So we're gonna leave it at that. The water Lord, obviously. The water class for coming out and watching. The water for those that are coming out and watching the replay. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Shabbat shalom.